the recorder on. You guys can see my screen here. Let me pull up the files. Some of the work here, if you could tell me whose this is, sometimes what happens is I zoom in a little bit to make it a little larger on my screen and it cuts your name off. So the best place to place your name on your work is always going to be if you come in and like write your name right about here. If you're to write like John Doe, let's say, right there, then I know exactly who you are. If you put your name on the bottom right-hand corner of your work, one of the problems with that is when I zoom in, it crops your name off, and then I can't tell who you are. Okay, so whose was this?
It's mine. I think I must have forgot to rename it.
Oh, that's okay. No, you might have named it on the corner, but I zoom into it.
Oh no, like the file name, or else I wouldn't be like the first one going.
Yeah, we got it. When I upload it, I don't see the file name. Because it comes in as a layer, if that makes sense. So
okay.
I don't really look at the file name. I just grab all the files and I'll just walk you guys through it. I go up here, I go into file, and I have to go into add image, and then I go select the image. But then I can't like you did label it with your name, but I'm not going to remember that because I have 50 different files. I can't remember what order they come in, you know. So all you got to do is just write your name on the bottom. But anyway, these look great. I think these look exceptional. They're beautiful little thumbnails. They work very well. The perspective is spot on all of them. I could just tell by looking at them. So if I had to pick one that I would like, or that I think is working really well, they're all working. They're very nice sketches and drawings, and they're all communicating everything we've been talking about in terms of the vanishing point, the horizon line. If I had to pick one that I like the most, I'm probably going to go with this guy right here. And the reason why I like him is because I can see more of what's on the ground. So this is a good one here, but your horizon line is a little bit lower, and then we don't see as much on the ground. So I haven't talked about composition because this really isn't meant to be a composition class, but compositionally, these stack of these large stacks holding boxes end up flattening the piece a little bit. So what's nice about this one is our eye can weave through here and get into the composition, and we see a lot more of the depth relationships happening. Now, in a couple of my classes, I do this thing where I show students how they can like add to a drawing and make it look really cool. And I see something that's working quite well on your piece. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. If I take this image right here, and I'm going to copy and paste that, I'm going to bring it up here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go under image, and I'm going to mirror the layer and flip it in the other direction. And then I'm going to drag it and put it right about, see your vanishing points there. So I can go a little bit larger, and it's going to be right about there. So if I put that right there, and then if I erase part of this back down to about the vanishing point there, you see how I just sort of added onto your room and expanded it?
Yeah.
Okay, so all I did, you happen to have, the vanishing points are in the same place, so I could flip the image to the other side. And so by doing that, do you notice how much wider the image becomes? Because it's all going off of that key vanishing point right there that's matching up. But now we can see over here, we see in here, we see all back here. And you get this really, here's one of the really great things about one-point perspective is if you draw it right, you can get this really nice panoramic view that's working in there. So I'm going to zoom into that, and then you can take a screen grab of it, or later on it'll be in the recording and you can take a look at that. Okay, so that's what I would do if I was you. I just happen to notice that you have basically, so you have that, I just took your image and flipped it and the points overlap. So it would basically be that image in the same perspective, but now it's a lot wider. And when it's wider, it's a little bit more beneficial to the viewer. And what's cool about doing that, I do that quite often. I do that with props. I've done it in other classes, especially in illustration and stuff. It's a great way to show you, the artist, and the viewer how you could use perspective just by making sure the points line up. Okay, cool. All right, so let me turn that off. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into the next one here. All right, and whose is this one right here?
That's mine.
Okay, let me see who said that. It came off for a minute. Who said that one?
Robert.
Oh, Robert. Hi, Robert. Okay, cool. I want to make sure I have the right image here, or the right person. And so let me dive into this. I'm going to show you a couple things that are working and then a couple things that are sort of working. Okay, so let's start right here really quick. For the most part, everything is working pretty good in your room here. There is a little bit of a battle with one point happening in a couple places. So let me show you what's happening. If your vanishing point is right here in the center, everything's going to recede to that point. So these boxes are now going to a different vanishing point.
Okay.
And actually see that vanishing point is way up on a whole nother horizon line. So those boxes are pitched down at a different angle. So if you wanted to draw that right, your boxes would look a little bit more like this. Okay. And they would come down a little bit like that. Something about there, let's say. That would be your box in perspective being correct. Okay. So that's one thing that was happening over there. Another thing that was happening is that if I come back to this line right here, that's correct. But if I go to this other line, it's going to start to get a lot wider as it recedes away, as it's going back to the vanishing point. So you really need to make sure your little flexible ruler here is on target when you're sketching. That's going to be a huge guide for you. So what's happening, because I see this all the time with students, is your mind sort of battling 1 point, but then you want to turn things in 2 point because it feels more comfortable. And that's pretty normal. So here, these boxes are looking pretty accurate, but then here, that's going to slant a little bit more to there. That box is going to a whole different vanishing point. So I would just have that go back, to this vanishing point, going down that way. And then you have these sort of going down that way. So that's not going to happen either, because the sides of these boxes should be converging back this way towards that vanishing point, and that'll lock up. So you have to check a little bit. There's a couple places on your thumbnails here where your perspective is getting a little skewed and then getting a little bit offset. And they're easy fixes, but you just got to be willing to do it and change it. So this one's a whole lot better. Okay, it's not nearly as much off in perspective. My only comment would be is when you fill up your shelves, make sure you're using that vanishing point there to draw some boxes and fill shapes in there. Okay. I'd probably ditch the ladder right now as being a student starting off in perspective. If that's too complicated, just skip it and just stay sort of simple. This one's working really good too. But there is another part here, like if you have a vanishing point right there in the middle, this side of that wall is going to be going to that vanishing point as well. So that's one of those things you just got to check on your perspective. This one's working good too. A couple little things lightly off. This on the front here is going like this, going offset a little bit. So that's going to converge back down here to that vanishing point. So you're doing the perspective right. It's just on a couple boxes, you might have gotten just a teeny bit messed up where you need to just get those fixed and get them accurate. Okay.
Yeah.
And then same thing in here, that gets a little wonky. That's a little off. Okay. The table is going to another point up a little bit higher. So, basically you're on, Robert, and the room's looking really good. It's just a little bit of the props you're battling with. And I get it. This one too, you have some issues where you have a vanishing point down there and your horizon line is here. Remember, anything that goes above the horizon line. So let me take this. I have this box here of Kleenex, and I'll use this as an example. Uh-oh. Hold on, I'm going to grab my box. It's on the other side. So this is something that's always going in the back of my head whenever I'm working. I have a little box of Kleenex here, right? If I bring this up to my horizon line, you guys can't see the top of it because it's right at my eye level. If I lower this underneath, you can now see the top of the box. And if I bring this box up above my eye level, if my green screen will allow it, I can see underneath it right here. Okay, so that's sort of like the golden rule that will always allow you to remember, especially when you go to draw the figure. You're looking at the human figure, and when you're sketching it, you have to realize where your eye level is. You might be looking up under the torso. So the torso sits inside a cube shape. So you have to be able to draw that cube shape accurately, understand its construction to then fit the torso and the anatomy inside it. So that's where this type of stuff really helps you. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Next over here, we have, whose is this one right here?
It's mine.
And okay, Joel. So Joel, you sort of have a couple of the same battles going on too. I know this is probably is this one of the first times you're having to draw a room in perspective? It can be a little hard. So there's a couple of things here I want to give you some suggestions on. So let's say right here, if you have a horizon line, you have a vanishing point. I'm going to do your point in red right here. Okay. Your sidewalls need to all sort of go to that point. So this is going, but the angle would change just a teeny bit here. And then if we look at here, this is feeling correct right there. And then we come back to this side. Now this side, what happened is when you drew the wall here, you slipped a little. So you went back and created another point back there. So you need to make sure your ruler is staying on, even though you might not want it to be on and it might feel a little bit better, but your wall here would actually be a little bit more like this. Everything's going to converge to that point. And then your top wall here is looking pretty good. And then remember, it's the horizon line. Once we're above that horizon line, we're not going to be able to see on top of boxes at all. They're going to be elevated above us. So your box up here is going to be like this. It's going to converge back down to that vanishing point. It's going to come down. It's going to sit on the shelf like this. It's going to go horizontally, and then it's going to drop like that. Okay. That's what your boxes are going to look like. This is technically almost correct. It could be lightly turned, but it's going to a different vanishing point right there. Yes, objects can exist in one point perspective and be turned at different perspectives. Yes, that's true, but it also makes it more complicated for you, the viewer. So the best way, how I would fix that is just you got to learn one point, master it, come back here, receive the sides of those boxes back to your vanishing point, clip that edge, and then bring it in like that, and then it'll feel correct. It'll start working for you. Okay, so that problem that you're having there, it's also happening in here because you have things that are tilting at angles, you have things offset a little bit, and that's throwing off your perspective. You know, like you have a VP that's there, but then you have these tilts on the box, and you're going into like this weird sort of 3-point. Just keep those all vertical, keep it simple. Okay, and here you're like adding really hard subjects. We talk about this later in class, but I wouldn't try to draw a staircase unless you know it exactly, because again, relative to the horizon line, you're going to have a vanishing point. So once the stairs go up above that vanishing point, you're going to be seeing the top of the stair like this, right? Then the stair is going to come out like you have it. So that next stair you have is pretty correct, but then it's going to recede back. It's going to drop like this. It's going to go down. It's going to come out sideways again. It's going to drop across, go down, out, down like that. And one of the things about stairs we'll talk about later is that stairs actually exist in perspective on a set of rails. So those rails meaning that like these tops are going to be connecting and then the bottoms are going to be connecting like that. And that's a way that we can measure and double check stairs, is that this zigzagging will continuously go up. Oops, meant to go to blue. It'll go up, over, and it'll fit inside those parallel rails like that. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I just wanted to show you how you could fix that and why it's a little off. So same thing in here a little bit. You got this chair and there's like a tilt on it. So if we have a horizon line about here, because we can see on top of this desk, here you're going into what we would call like a 2-point. So you have a vanishing point over here for this wall, but then the problem is this wall goes back to here, which isn't on the same point. And then you have this wall going that way, that wall going that way, which is going to another set of vanishing points. So you end up with a 2-point perspective and it throws it out of whack. So I'm going to tell you, we're just working in 1 point right now. We're not diving into 2-point because it's a lot more complicated. Okay. And then here on this guy, you have it really close. All this is feeling pretty good. But then when you get back into here, if your vanishing point's right there, your walls are going to come out accordingly like this. And I did this little demo in case you guys got lost. So Robert, what'll help you, excuse me, not Robert, Joel, what's going to help you, got to memorize everyone's name, is starting off with that construction like that. Then you go in and build these sort of boxy shapes in your room. And I would recommend, like Robert and Joel, if you guys are getting a little stuck on this, talk with Andrew. He's going to be there to guide you and help you and show you how to make those how to make the construction work and the perspective sort of come together. Okay. All right. Thank you, Joel. All right. Next, I have Craig. Craig, these look great. The only thing I would do is I would recommend don't fill in the boxes with blue. And I know how you're thinking. You're thinking like a painter. In fact, I bet my money you probably come from a painting background, because painters, no?
Not really, no.
No, okay. Because painters tend to do this. They like to lump things into groupings of value, and then they like to arrange them like cut out cards and then draw on top of it. So that's actually fine. That can totally work. But then one of the problems that happens is we lose some of the detail that's in there. But I can see the perspective working, and I know you're on and correct. So my only comment would be just when, you have these beautiful silhouette reads in here. I mean, this is just gorgeous. You have that box. Now it comes down in here. You're getting a lot of depth between the foreground. I mean, everyone, look at what's happening here. Look at his foreground there. And then look, then he has a good overlap. He has a midground in there, and he has a background in there. So that right there, having those 3 layers on top of each other, excuse me, really sets up a lot of depth in the piece and makes it sort of come alive. Okay, so Craig, those look absolutely wonderful. I would just get the line in there. That's all you got to do. That's looking really nice. Excuse me, guys. Got something stuck in my throat. I had an egg with pepper on it. And that crushed pepper, sometimes a little piece gets in your throat. All right, this is also really good too, because look, I can see the perspective in here, and I can see everything converging correctly and working. It's a really nice grouping. So what's really cool is, even though you didn't draw the line, you got the shapes in there. I can see your shapes are on because all your angles are matching. I can see them going back to the vanishing point correctly. And that's really half the battle. So I'm not worried about you at all. I think these look really good. And then the other thing you're doing is you're playing with composition by having masses like this. This is how, when we get into storyboarding, storytelling, and especially environment design, we really start creating items and props grouped in masses, and we overlap them because the visual reads are interpreted a lot easier in the brain. So I think number 1 looks cool. Number 2 looks great. Now 3 is spot on too. Number 4 looks really good. Number 5 looks really good. So now what we're going to do next is take one of our thumbnails here, and we're going to draw it a little bit larger and turn it into a rough drawing where we add a little bit more detail, or think about the floor, think about the ceilings and stuff like that. So so we have a couple options. I just asked you to take one. So my favorites out of these, I go back to 1 every time because there's really a lot of overlap that's happening in number 1. I think number 2 is also really good. Number 4 is also really good. It's just with 4, you have room in here to add and fill up more stuff in here. So if you were to fill up a couple more goodies and overlaps, that's really going to help with the composition. And that's actually the same with number 5. Number 5 is absolutely correct in terms of the perspective. But if we come in here and you have, everything's in these oops, hold on, I hit the wrong button. Everything inside here is on these shelves. And so that's good, but then you still have this ability to overlap like a stack here. And then you could have something in the foreground here. You can have another stack of boxes. Imagine Costco at right after they close, the first thing they do is they wheel out all these big containers and start moving things around. Imagine Costco in the middle of the night or early morning when they're stocking and reloading before the store opens, what it would look like. Same thing with Home Depot, yeah. So if you go 4 or 5, I would just add a couple elements. Compositionally, number 4 is beautiful. You bring our eye in here, you curve this back this way. There's a tremendous amount of depth. I love the idea that you're doing with the pipes up there. So this reads really well too. So I think it's funny, you have different things that are working in different ones. Number 1 has the best overlap and grouping in it, okay? Number 2 has really good perspective. Number 4 has the most interesting environment inside it, okay? Without a doubt. And then number 5 is informatively absolutely spot on correct. It's just not as thrilling compositionally because we could have more things overlapping and in depth here that would create a little bit more interest. But number 4, man, what you did here in the ceiling with all this goodness in here, that's really solid design. So that's not just the perspective, but now you're going into designing, thinking about large shapes and small shapes. So I'd probably take 4 and develop it a little bit more if you like, or you can also work on number 1 too. Okay. Good work, Craig. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. Next over here, we got Brianna. Brianna, these are great.
Thanks, Phil.
I hope you're very happy with these. I think they're quite wonderful.
Thank you. I got kind of lost, I think, in some of them now that I'm looking at them again.
Well, that happens whenever we look at our work with a fresh eye. You tend to notice things that are different, but for the most part, they're really great. I mean, you have everything's on mark. I mean, I could just tell by looking at them. I could follow your lines in here, and I could see them going down to the vanishing points. In actually, I just want to give you this vote of confidence. These are so nice. These look like an industry standard thumbnail that you would provide for like a director. So if you're working on a show, you would sketch these and send these in as your first pass, and then the director is going to comment on them and make little, notations on them. So I think they're quite wonderful. So you could take any one of these and blow them up and work a little bit further into it. And there are different things happening in these that are quite wonderfully. The perspective's right. You have a good overlap. You have a good construction of boxes and shapes and props. Like in this number 1 up here. Oops. Let me zoom in. This guy up here, number 1. I love the little forklift right here. That's a great prop to have. Nice collection of stuff in here. You have some goodies over here on the side that are working quite well. Yeah, you have quite a bit of really cool. Now, every now and then when I look at someone's work, sometimes I see something, and one of my students, Mike, calls it a Phil special. So I want to show you something that you could do if you wanted to really expand out your piece here. Hold on a minute. Let me do it real quick. So if I were to take this one right here, and if I were to copy and paste that, and I'm going to just move it up here, what I'm going to do is through your vanishing points are, and to match up your vanishing points correctly about there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and erase a little bit of this. Hold on, let me turn it on and off for a minute and see the pattern. Yeah, I wanted to keep that angle in there that you have. And then if I erase some of that down here, there we go, and keep that in there. See how cool that becomes, like a whole room right there.
Yeah, dang.
Huh?
That looks cool.
Well, you did all the work. I didn't have to do it. It looks awesome. If we come in here and then you reframe it, bring your frame down to about there. You have this really nice hill shape in here that's overlapping that could come and end like there, or this angled wedge or whatever. And then look, then all of a sudden, all of this is matching up to the same vanishing point right there. So look at how wide angle your room becomes now. And all I did was take your drawing down here and just move it up there, because the reason why I did that, or what I'm seeing, is that, let me just explain this to you guys, because I look for this stuff all the time in my own work, is that in your piece here, you only have about 15 or 20% of your drawings right there. And then in this piece, it's the opposite. You have all this extra space here. So all I got to do is match up the vanishing points, and the perspective will be correct. And then you'll end up with this really wide, expansive room like this. Let me take off those lines real quick. So yeah, if you just copy and, if you copy and paste that image over there, look at how cool that becomes. You've already done all the work and effort to add all this to your drawing. And when you get into a wide angle like that, it really looks super cool. So excellent work. Okay, it's quite nice. I would just combine those two, and you're going to have this really outstanding drawing in perspective of an interior. So very nicely done, Brianna. All right, good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Next over here, we got Yonji. Yonji, these are great. Now, all of them look fantastic. I don't see any perspective problems happening in these at all. I think if I had to pick the one that I like the most, I'm probably going to go with number 1, because you already have some boxes in there that are establishing foreground, midground, and background. So number 1 would be right here. And what I like about that is we have a nice grouping here. You still have room to put something in the back here. You have room to add something here. You can put something there, and then you really get some nice depth between foreground, midground, and background. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, they look great. They really look wonderful. Now, another thing you could do is you have up these other rooms over here. I'll call this number 2, 3,
Mm-hmm.
4, 5, and 6. Okay. Number 3 is great. Number 4 is great. You would just, and number 2 is great. You could do any of these as well, but we just need to fill them with props. And if
Yeah.
you fill them with boxes and other shapes and overlap them, sort of like what you're doing here,
Mm-hmm.
you'd be fine. So I'm not worried about you whatsoever. Your perspective is on, it's going to the vanishing point. You're getting these really nice wide angle views in your drawings, and I think they look great. Okay.
All right. Thank
So
you.
keep up the good work. My pleasure. Thank you. All right. Next over here. Whose were these right here?
Oh, those were mine.
Okay. And oh, that's Evelyn. Hi, Evelyn. Okay.
Oh no, Lucy.
I'm sorry. I looked up Evelyn's was still highlighted, and then I looked over, and then yours was highlighted. I'll tell you what, if I guys say, whose is this? When you guys say mine, I don't know who that is. I got to go look to see, just say your name if you want, because I have to wait. There's always a delay on my end. It takes like a second or two for the cam window to light up, you know? Anyway, no worries. So, all right, Lucy, your perspective is pretty good on these. They're actually working. I think it would just be, you could expand them out maybe a teeny bit, or I think you might, are you battling a little bit with the props?
Yeah, I was battering with the perspective overall, so that's why it's kind of messy because I had to
Messy's okay. There's nothing wrong with
visualize this.
Yeah, no, I know. And if this is your first time, it takes a little bit to get your brain used to this thinking. It really does. It takes a little bit to wrap your brain. I always like using the metaphor of wedding invitations. Like if you're going to help someone send out 250 invitations and got to fold them and put them in an envelope, your first couple ones you're like super slow, but then by like number 25 you're like super fast, and then by number 40 you're like a machine where you're just knocking them out. It's the same thing with perspective. The more that you draw and practice and sketch on it a little bit, the more you'll start to figure it out. But for the most part, you are pretty correct. It's just a couple little details. Number one thing I would do is don't darken things in, avoid, because what happens when you start doing that is now you're creating contrast in the piece, and the contrast will offset. So like I was telling everybody, no tone, no full color, just keep it down to a line drawing. Now, what you have here is right, like your wall is working correct. There are a couple of things, like if you have this beam here, you're going to be able to see underneath that beam, right? Because look where your horizon line is. Your horizon line is down low, so you can look up underneath. So this, let me label them 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So number 4 is totally fine here. You just have a couple little things to fix, and then you could come in here and you can start drawing, you know, like I could come up here and put a large box that's going to recede back to the vanishing point. So you could have a box here. You can have another box here stacked on the, on the side of it. And then there could be another box sort of like sitting up on top of this. And what I'm doing is I'm creating these large groupings that now goes into the foreground, right? So if this becomes the foreground and I draw a line from here to here, that's where I could draw foreground boxes. Then you can come back in here, and then from here back to here could be like your midground where you draw other groupings. And then at the very end, you might draw some things back here in the very back, which would become your background. So everything you're doing on this, Lucy, is correct, and it's feeling fine. So when you go pick one that you like and just start to draw a little bit tighter and not as rough, and just keep everything matching back to your perspective. So your perspective's working. I can see it working in the majority of your sketches here. I can come here to your vanishing point, and oops, it's right there. And now this one, I did notice your wall's off a little bit. Your wall is literally going straight across. So your wall would be going back to that vanishing point, and if you were to draw through there, it's going to hit right here, and it's going to go this way like that. So your floor was a teeny bit off on that one. This one, number 3, is fine. The perspective is good. We just need to fill it full of more props. This guy's off a teeny bit. So look, your vanishing point's there, your horizon line's there. This box is going to a different point. And if it was lightly tilted, then the other side would also be going, which would change the angle to about there. Okay, but for the most part right now, I wouldn't worry about multiple vanishing points. Just have everything recede to the same vanishing point. So come back in here and bring that across and that across, draw a horizontal line. And well, there you go. There's your box now. Just drawn going back to VP1 right here, the correct VP. Okay, so you're on mark. Just make them a little bit tighter, fill them in, and I think you'll be good to go. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, nicely done. Excellent. All right, next over here, we have, whose were these?
Those were mine.
Jennifer. All right, Jennifer. These are spot on. The perspective is beautiful. Now you just got to fill it full of props and boxes. Okay. This, and I know you did that. So if I label these, my God, they look like architecture drawings too. So if we go 1, 2, and 3, and 4, number 1 is great. It's working in perspective, but you could easily, like, here, I would end like a box structure, like right there. And then I might come up here and add another box overlapping that, because then we establish foreground, right? And then if you were to come back in here and then do that same thing in sort of about right here and get another little box, that's going to establish midground. And then if you come back here a little bit and put something a little bit further away, back up, let's say about here, then that guy is now going to establish part of your background. So separating them into threes like that is going to be huge, because it's going to establish a lot more visual read inside your piece. This is a beautiful environment itself. Okay. And it's spot on. The perspective is great, but then you could, to your advantage, use the power of overlap. So overlap would be sort of the same thing. If you were to come in here and if your VP is right there, you could have, like, there could be a large crate just sitting outside here like this with another small box around it. And maybe there's something like leaning up at an angle against it like that. So that's going to start to overlap. It's going to create more depth in your piece. Same thing would happen over here. You might have another stack of some other items that are going to be put away. You might have in this transition from here to here, there might be a floor that has a different type of tile on it. So there might be these little intersections like that. So it looks like maybe someone drives a forklift along that area, and that's the main forklift path. And then the rest of this is just boxes and a walking path. This is great. You have a really nice foreground that's working in here. I just like if you overlap it, you put another one going up here. You can even have one overhang a little bit like this on the side there like that. So if you get those in there, it's just going to create a little bit more depth and overlap in the piece. Okay. This number 4 is beautiful. It's a great looking building. You have this cool curve in it. It's nicely coming together. I would just go in there, and again, the same thing. I'd add a collection here. I'd add something in there. I might put something back in here, and so on. And man, look at, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm going to zoom in. I can see it with my eyes because I can see what you're doing. So Jennifer, I just want to commend you on the outstanding work. Look at the proportional division in here, and she has red trace lines, green trace lines in there. She's figuring out all of that stuff we've talked about in perspective, which is all the construction coming together. So that's absolutely outstanding. That is a gorgeous room right there that's designed. Now come in and start to fill it with props and different groupings. Okay, Jennifer? All right, excellent.
Okay, thank you so much.
And number 3 is cool too. It's spot on, but it's more of like you have 3 items that are all grouped here. And so what happens in that is it works prospectively, but then it's not as interesting. Now, what would be cool is one thing that'll help is always put a frame around your work, because a frame allows you to see where things are going to be, where your composition is going to be developed. So if you came into this, imagine if you did this really quick. Imagine if, hold on, let me grab my pencil here. Let me grab this. I'm going to paint over this real quick. Take that guy out, and then come back to blue. Go a little bit smaller. Okay, so imagine if you come back into here. Let's see, your VP is right there, and then you could have something in the foreground. Like that. Then you could put, that could be overlapping a set of a couple other guys. Oops, back here. Like that. And then see what it does. You create this, and then if you come over here and you do the same thing, you could put, I can't draw today. My ruler keeps slipping on my Cintiq. So you have a box here. I might have a smaller little guy like that right here. I could have something like, again, imagine Costco when they're in the early morning. Any of you guys work retail? A friend of mine works at Home Depot during this pandemic because their job got shut down, their factory job. And they tell me like their store is an absolute mess. At like, you know, at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, they're all moving everything and there's hundreds of boxes everywhere. So if you did this, and then if I came back in here and put another couple of goodies stacked up like this, do you see now how the eye can move through here and get all the way to the back? So that creates a lot of visual depth and makes it very easy for the viewer to move through the piece. So instead of having these 3 large cabinets that block everything, taking one of them out now offsets, creates a balance in composition where we can get back in here, but we still see stuff that's here. And then you still have all this goodness that's back in here as well. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, very nice work, Jennifer. Thank you. It's outstanding. Good effort. Thank you for going the extra mile on your thumbnails. Okay, it's excellent. You keep up drawing like that, and eventually it's just going to soak in and you're just going to be knocking stuff out left and right, you know? Cool. All right. Thank you. Hoi. Hoi, these are awesome. I think they read easy. I could just,
Hi.
hi there. I could tell by looking at them, there's not any major perspective issues. I did notice one little thing on this guy here. And if you're VP, hold on a minute, I lost the layer. There we go. So if that was number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, that's 5. On number 3, if your VP is right there, oh, you are correct. I thought it was off for a minute because that was going like that. And I thought what it is, it's throwing me is it maybe there, that angle's right, but then the next one, it's pretty close. Yeah, there's a lot of scale transition. What it is, it's the top of the box right here. So the top of the box would be going more like that. See that?
Mm.
That would be sitting there. So when I saw it counter angled like this, that's what was thrown off a little bit. It was going to a different vanishing point. So that's the only thing you'd really have to fix on that one. Now, you could get away with a wide, expansive drawing. Do you want me to show you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you take number 1 right here, and then copy and paste it, going to bring number 1 down to about right here. Okay. Hold on, let me double check something. Actually, nope. Hold on, I'm thinking in my brain. I'm thinking if I switched it in one direction. There, if you put number 1 there, and hold on a minute, let me go back to the original here. And if you take number 2, and if we bring number 2 in, and let me get that vanishing points matched up about there, I believe. Okay. And then if you come in to your one on top here, and if you erase a little bit of this sidewall in the back here, like that. There. See how those match up?
I see.
Let me zoom in a little bit more because I have them as thumbnails there. So I just took the 2 drawings you have. They're on the same vanishing point, and now it looks super awesome. Look at how wide that is. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Super cool. Look at that. That is a really, really super cool drawing because you have tons of information happening over here that's really great, that's working. And then after these boxes, you have this whole, you have, you know, the stair, and you got, that's where the manager sits in there. And then you have stuff on the side. That becomes quite a wonderful piece. So if I was you, I would just take those 2 thumbnails you have and merge them together.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, great work. Thank you, Wei.
All right. Thank you, Phil.
Oh, my pleasure. Very nice. All right, and let me turn that off and that, and then scrolling down here, we have Elon. Okay. All right, they're looking really nice here.
Hi, Phil.
Hi there, good morning. These look great.
Morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
They look really cool. I like how your perspective is right and it's on, but you're being sort of sketchy. You have that sort of artist sketchability in there that's reading very well, so they don't feel too
Thank
tight.
you.
Yeah, all the perspective feels great, and everything seems to be working. It's quite wonderful. So,
I think I went a little specific in some of them. So like I started adding really specific props to it. So some of them might not look like the typical warehouse, but
yeah, no, but that's okay though. I think those little specifics come together because some of them you have like here like number 2 has that factory feel to it, which is quite nice. And
Yeah.
I used to actually do that on this assignment, was tell people to draw factories, but then they would start drawing like these really giant like incinerators and stuff that was out of their drawing level, and then they would sort of fall apart. But yeah, I think they're very nicely done. They work very well. There's a lot of depth in them. You have really good, great understanding, because part of what I'm trying to talk today and get you guys to think about not only is the perspective being right, but thinking about the use of foreground, midground, and background to really achieve a lot of depth. And you're doing that quite nicely. You have good, just in all of these, you have good collection.
Thank you.
You have foreground elements here. Oh, my pleasure. Here you have good elements here. You have more elements in the back there where you set up quite a bit of depth. Here you have this big shelf here with this large like gear part on it. And then you got the forklift. You have these. You have different elevations in the back. So number 3 is excellent too. So a lot of these are working quite nice. Hold on. I was wondering. No, I thought of combining one, but it would probably be too overwhelming. Because on this one you have the horizon line's in a different place though. It's a little bit off, a little bit different there. I'm wondering if you combine that one. Let me just try it real quick. I was wondering if we took number 2 here and just overlapped it a little bit like on this one, and you get it to fit in about right here. And then if you erase this around it like that, see how that could, oops, let me back up there. I meant just to get that off. I wanted to leave the back wall. See how that could become like one large wide environment?
Yeah.
So, because your VPs are both matching up in the same place, your ceilings are pretty accurate. You would just need to fix where I went in there. You just need to bring that other beam about there and about here. And now you just really you have a lot of depth. You have these other boxes, behind each other. You have a box up above here. And if you just reframe, and why is it not letting me draw? Oh, hold on. Accidentally hit the ruler tool by accident. There. So if you reframe about there, you got that really beautiful wide angle composition that works quite nice,
Yeah, okay.
So-
So you your best case is to combine 1 and 2.
Well, it's up to you. I don't want to give you too much work to do. I think that would be an
Right.
outstanding drawing and a beautiful little portfolio piece. Because you can make portfolio pieces out of this class that you could use for a job in animation without a doubt, especially
Right.
this is background design and what they call layout design. So you could do that. If you didn't want to do that and you wanted to save yourself in terms of time, I'm probably going for, I like number 2 and I like number 3 a lot.
Okay.
They just have number 3 has a really good read, really good transition. You're really creating a lot of nice depth, especially with the lights in here. Heck, you could also come in here on number 3, and where that light, you could have it another one to start right about here. See that?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like
I see
right in
that.
the foreground. Then you really get that 1, 2 to 3. In fact, just
okay.
a little side note, because you're doing this. Back in the day, I worked on this this show for there's a company called Sunbow Entertainment, and Sunbow It's an old New York company, but they own the rights to G.I. Joe. They own all the rights to Rainbow Bright and a bunch of other related characters. And I was working with this director. What was funny is that he was a director, really good with storyboards, but he couldn't draw that well, but he was a master with composition. And one of the things he used to tell me was, if you put things in 3, traveling back in perspective, it's the easiest way to make perspective work. So 1, 2, 3, boom. You create that exact read that goes zooming right back for the eye. And believe it or not, you're also doing the same thing here by having that in the foreground. That's a 1. By having this back here, that becomes 2. And then if you have something in the back there, that back door, that becomes 3. So those visual reads are actually you like really nailing down part of the composition, and it really creates a lot of depth inside the piece. So if you want, think about that 1, 2, and 3 whenever you're working, and it's a really great way to create instant depth in a piece. And painters do it all the time. Like Edgar Payne, he'll do a painting, and what he'll do is he'll come in here and he'll have this ground plane line set up, and he'll put a bush here, and then he'll put another bush back in there, and then he'll have another bush in the background like this. Even he'll have a cliff with a bush or 2 on it. So your eye sees it and identifies 1, 2, and then the 3s in the back there like that. Creates scale. Okay, that's how we talked about that scale transitioning. I think what I might do in this class, if our time's good, is maybe next class, I'll pull up a couple work of some professionals and I'll draw over it real quick in the beginning of class. I don't know if I'll have time to do that and critique everyone, but it'd be nice maybe just 1 or 2 pieces to show you how they're using perspective and also how they're using composition. So that way you guys leave with a little bit better knowledge of composition as well. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. These are beautiful drawings.
Thank you, Phil.
My pleasure. Okay. Good work. All right. Next over here, Serena. Hi,
Hi.
Serena.
Hi.
Good morning. Okay. So one of the things, and I know why you're doing this, probably the painter inside you, you want to put the tone under it because it allows you to see the groupings. And it does allow you to see the groupings. If it's easier for you to work like this, you go for that in the beginning, but then eventually you want to get rid of some of that tone and just get the line cleanup around it. Okay. Yeah, you have some really fun drawings here. There's a lot of energy happening in here. And we have a couple that we could can I merge a couple?
Yeah.
Cool. If you take this guy here, and if I copy and paste them and I come under, and if I mirror the layer and I flip it in the reverse, and if you bring that right up here, this can pretty much fit right about there. And then if you erase some of this, keep your original wall in there and structure, you get this whole other side to the drawing. See how it wraps around now and brings you to a right corner?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes just the drawing a lot wider. And what it allows us to do is our eye, once it's back here, comes this way and then is allowed to go now to the right here. And then you're basically bringing us around sort of a corner per se, you know, and look at how much wider the drawing becomes. So yeah, I think that's really cool. Now I love these shapes in here. They are organic shapes with a lot of ellipses. If that gets really hard and you're struggling with ellipses, I'm going to come back and tell you.
I'm struggling with lines. Is what my problem is. I hate this. I hate doing all this kind of stuff. Any perspective is my biggest struggle ever.
I know, but when you learn it, then you know how to apply it. It changes everything in the way that you draw and design, you know?
Yeah. That's why I'm taking the class. So.
I know. So I give you the kudos of trudging through something that's different that you hate and that's a little bit harder. And I know I've been there. When I was first learning perspective, I was like ready to run my instructor over with my car. You know, I was like so frustrated by everything it was showing us. And then you're learning these mathematical applications and then trying to apply it into a drawing. But then what happened one day is I did this, he had us do this drawing of a maze where we would have a walkway that would be a maze that would lead to like a back door. So I drew pillars and had arches in it. And I can show it to you guys. I still have it. And that was pivotal. Like I did that drawing and I'm like, he's like, this is really good. And I'm like, wow, that's the best perspective drawing I've ever done. And then I sort of got hooked after that point, you know? So,
Yeah.
but I was lucky in the 7th grade, I had Mr. Graber, and I had an art teacher at Bernardo Yorba Junior High who taught us some real simple basics about perspective with this term called melted pancakes. And what melted pancakes were, and it still works to this day, it's something great to do when you're sketching, is you basically come into a room, or you go like this, you set a horizon line, you pick a little dot there, and you just draw organics. And you go like this, you draw like an organic like this, but then you put sides to it, and you curve the base to it like that, and they start to look like these like melted pancakes, you know, that are on, and then you can draw up here and then draw through the shape. And if you do that, you start creating these really cool sort of like organic worlds just by doing a scribble like this. But if you add sides to it, it creates depth. And then if you start to, you know, add stuff on top of that and build it up, it creates more depth. And then if you go vertical with it and figure out you're looking underneath it, and then you keep adding more and more into your piece, and then it starts to create a lot of depth, and you get these really cool type of worlds that happen. So anyway, so it's all a learning curve. We all go through it. Here, for the most part, most of your perspective is working really good here. Now, it's funny because I could see you getting bored with the boxes and wanting to do something really, really cool, where
Yes.
you're getting, and that's okay. I see it in the work, and I'm because I noticed you're like here, and you're like, oh my God, number one, I got to draw boxes. They're so boring, and there's nothing
Yeah.
like great about them. I know, I get it, but
Yeah.
the point of the boxes is that they're simpler or easier to draw than getting into the harder shapes. Because what'll happen is I have students start drawing things with tons of ellipses, and then they start to fall apart a little bit because it's really hard to draw ellipses. So in here, this collection is right, and going to that vanishing point, this wall is right. But then what happens is right about here, that shelf would be going about that angle, and it would be going about that angle. And then the same thing here, this back wall, if it ends right here, it would be there like that. So what's happening is these props right here are the only ones that are out of perspective. And then when you draw them, look, that's going to a vanishing point like way up there, not even on the same horizon line. So all you'd really have to do is come in here, erase these, and then just redraw them. So now if you come in here and you go, okay, I have a large group, and it's going to be here, it's going to be structured, and they're all going to be sort of overlapping. Everything's going to recede back to that vanishing point. And if you get that in there, then that drawing is going to start to work and come together. In fact, just me fixing that made it work.
Would you suggest that I should draw in traditional, or should I maybe just draw in Sketchbook Pro because it has the ruler to help me? Because I was mostly just kind of using like the shift button, and then I would turn the lines to make it as my ruler, but I feel like that's really tedious for me.
Yeah, that is a little hard. Here's what I would recommend is that you could work traditionally in this class. I think it's easier to use a coal erase pencil and a flexible, this Westcott ruler I showed you guys on day one. These are great because you can plot points, and they're easy to fix your lines, and you can erase it. A digital can be really frustrating for people, especially if you don't have a Cintiq. It's hard to get those lines on. So I mean, it's up to you. It's sort of personal preference. I think these are great for thumbnails because I can still read and get a lot out of them. You just have one or two areas to fix. That's it.
Yeah.
So having one or two areas is really somewhat minimal. You know, like here, you have a vanishing point right here, and then these crates would need to recede to it like this. You know what I mean? So you would just need to redraw the top only of those boxes and crates.
But see, that's what is so confusing is, I was trying to do that, but then it looks like it makes the top of the thing that's holding the crates like all wonky. Like that looks like it's offset.
I know. The reason what's happening is because let me point out something that you're doing. You're drawing a large collection of props. Let me do this in blue. You're drawing a large collection of props slightly out of the cone of vision, away from the center. And by doing that, you did that here. Okay, you sort of did it here. You're doing it here. You're putting stuff in here. By doing that, you're traveling way out here to the far left or right of the composition to draw those props, you're out of the cone of vision, and it's going to start to feel distorted and not feel right. So, one of what I would suggest to you, and here's the great thing about when we critique, is if you come back and look at somebody else's work, you will notice that like a huge chunk of the drawing will be right in here, which is centered around the cone of vision. Once we get out here, it's going to feel distorted. Things out here will start to feel distorted, but it's okay. That's all right, because it's out of the cone of vision. And it's the same thing here. Here, all that's working because that's about the cone of vision. Once we get out here, these start to get really loose, and you sort of want them loose, not too much detail, because they're out of the cone of vision, and it's going to get a little bit harder to see. Okay, so that's something just to point out to you that I noticed, and that's something that you could fix quite easily and go into. Okay, so part of it's also being aware of it. So part of this game and what we're doing is the repetition game. The more you repeat it, the better that you get. However, though, I will give you this piece of advice here. You could merge two, you could expand onto a couple of these. You got a couple of different options that you can do here. However, though, I will give you this though, advice. In art, okay, color is still very difficult for me. And color is one of those things because I spent so much of my professional time working, drawing environments and only working in tone. And then only the art director would do color and maybe a background painter. Okay. So I got better at color from going out and doing plein air painting because I started learning more about soft values and how light would change colors, like the difference between, let's say if you have a white building in downtown LA, and if it's morning time, we have more of a early yellow and orange tint that hits that building, which changes that white color, versus in the evening when the sun sets, it gets to be more orange and reddish, and then the red now hits that building, which makes it more evening time. So it took me a while to learn that stuff. But I used to sit down to paint and I used to say, I hate color. And guess what? The more I would say that, the worse my drawings were, because I'm setting myself up to sort of fail by saying, I hate it, I don't want to do it, and I don't like you. So if you could dive into your work, and if you say, I'm not the best at perspective, but I'm going to learn it, you are pretty much 85 to 90% on in these drawings, even though you're not liking it. So if you sort of come at it from the angle of, I know I can do this, it's going to be a pain in the butt, but I'm going to overcome it and I'm going to learn it, you will learn it, and then you can use it to your advantage when you want to. Okay. So you can combine a couple in here. It's up to you. You have a couple different options to do. I think these look great. And another thing, remember, part of this class that I'm doing is, number one, and this is for everybody, we are talking about perspective first, even though I wrote that really quick. After that, I'm secretly going into composition with you, telling you to fix things and alter things and so on. So, but I'm doing all of that separate. Okay. Hold on. My email's driving me nuts right now. Let me close it. Keeps popping up. Let me quit it. Emilia, by the way, I wanted to talk to you after class. Sorry I didn't email you back. I meant to, and I sort of zoned out.
Yeah, no,
get
it's
back
all
with
good.
you. Anyway, Serena, I think what you're doing here is fine. I think the drawings look good. You have good sketches. I can read these. You have one or two small perspective items. You could either combine those two together and take it to a rough, where you're starting to get a little bit tighter with your ruler. Or another thing is that you can go into a couple of these and just fill them up. Like you could easily take number one here, finish it, redo it, add to it. My only concern about this guy in the middle here is,
the organic stuff.
Yeah, which is okay. But once you start drawing this here, I'll show you something that's happening here. If your horizon line's here, we're not going to be able to see on top of that. It's going to be rounded like that.
Oh, okay.
Because we're looking underneath it. If we were to draw through it, you would see that dotted line like there, but this will get hard, because if this is, we haven't talked about ellipses yet. So understanding that ellipse angle, that ellipse, and that ellipse angles, you would have 3 different ellipses with different curves on them because they're at 3 different heights. That's where it gets complicated. And that's why I would say, hey, good idea, but make them cubes. turn them
Yeah,
into
alright.
cubes with the same idea, and it could work just as well, because I've had to do that before. I've had to work on, I remember on Batman, they told me once, whenever you do Batman's layer, things should be boxed into different angles, and Joker's layers should always have round elements and curves to them. It's just, that's when you're getting into art direction now, changing part of the flow. But I think if you just nail like a number 1 here, or you could take this guy that's right here, and you can expand out the frame a little bit and add a little bit more to that other side. This could also be a good drawing for you over here that you can add to, because let me show you, you could easily just take this guy here as well. And if we move him over, I mean, that's almost like a perfect match. And look where your vanishing point is. Boom, you put that one about right here. And then you just erase this. Go back to your original ceiling. Uh-oh, what'd I do? I hit my hotkey. There, and if I raise a drawing just a teeny bit up more, about there. There, so those are, now it's spot on the other vanishing point. See how much
Yeah.
wider the drawing is? So
Yeah.
my suggestion to you is, I think what you're doing here is great. I think everything looks nice. I would just finish it up, and these are what we call confidence builders. You make a good drawing that looks good, and it's a confidence builder, and you walk away and you have that confidence to want to attack another one. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right, good work. Thank you. All right, next. Whose were these here? I forgot.
Oh, these are mine. Sorry, I didn't remember my name.
And wait, I'm looking for your window. Oh, that's Sammy. Hi, Sammy. How are you?
Hi,
Sammy,
morning.
these are gorgeous, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, these are wonderful. I hope you're happy with them.
Yeah, I liked how the first one came out.
Yeah, the first one's quite gorgeous. There's a lot of things working with that. And you could always expand it too. You know,
Yeah.
you could add something like, let me show you. You could take, you got a couple of things you could do. Let me try this one real quick. You could take part of this one because it's lining up to a vanishing point about there. Put that about there. Look, and you could have a whole side to that. See that?
Yeah, that's cool.
So that would totally work. It's about the same perspective. And also what's cool is then your roof is like this. And then what you could do is you could just have your roof go horizontal like that.
Oh, okay.
So you could still have this cool angled roof in here like you have. And then just see what happens when we go a little bit wider. When you go to these types of compositions, man, just your work looks better, you know, this because it's wider and has more information.
Yeah.
But as artists, sometimes we want to crop it and end it. We get in a little tighter. And to me, that looks really cool. You really have a good view of how much more you're adding to your piece in there, you know. And then what you could do is you come back in here, you could still bring that table out. It could overlap. These angles would just change very slightly, adhering to your vanishing point, and that's it. You know, widens out the piece, looks quite wonderful. You know, so that's what I would do. I would just take those two, combine them. But just overall, yeah, I do like number 1 here. And there's a couple things in there. It's just working so nicely. The ellipses look really fantastic. The perspective is very well. You're interpreting it very nicely. These are all beautiful thumbnails. They read very well. In fact, these types of thumbnails are pretty much what I said earlier, like on spot with being something that you could do and turn it at an industry level. Like you could be working on a show, be doing thumbnails and handing it to your director, and they'd look at these and go, oh yeah, I like that. Now, or do this, or change this, and draw this at another angle. So yeah, they're excellent. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, good work. Excellent. Thank you for putting the time in there, because I could tell you put some time into those. And but it looks like you're having fun, you know. So keep up the good work. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
My pleasure. Oh, and by the way, I do this. I'm going to zoom into that one, make it larger, so that way If you want to take a screen grab of it, you could, or you can go back to the video and find it. And then you could just literally copy that and just add that section and trace over it, and you'd have a beautiful drawing, you know?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, next over here we have, let me see, Morehouse Thumbs. I cut off your name. Who's are these? Nice red sketches here. Anyone? Bueller? I do that. My students don't know what that reference is to. To Ferris
I like
Bueller's
that
Day Off.
movie. I love that movie. I
I know,
watch
it's
it
one
when
of my
I'm sick.
favorite movies.
I
There's
love
a part
watching
where
it.
he's not in school and the teacher's like, Bueller.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bueller.
Phil, it
Yeah.
might be Anthony. He had to step out to check on his router.
Okay.
Maybe come back to this one in a few minutes.
Okay, remind me, he's number 24. I'll come back to that one.
Number
Wait,
24.
wait, oh.
Okay.
Is he back?
Yeah, sorry. I closed
Don't
my eyes
worry
for a
about it.
second.
Don't worry
Oh
about
my
it.
God.
You're good. You're good. This is Ryan, right?
Yeah,
And Ryan, I probably cropped your name. So Ryan, these are awesome, dude. These look great.
thank you.
Oh, they're really nicely done. And some of the things I was talking about, having things at different levels, having them separated, you're doing that quite nicely. Man, the thing that sucks is I got to pick, you got to pick one of these and turn it into a rough. That might be a little hard because I think they all look so cool. There's so much goodness in them. I was wondering if I could merge two together and see what we would come up with. Yeah, I guess we could add a little, like if I took part of this guy, yeah, they're really nicely drawn. You spent quite a bit of time on these and I could see how much time you put in there. If we were to take like that right there, and then if I stretch it, oops, not that way. If I stretch it this way, distorting the perspective a little bit to match the vanishing point, and you could fit part of that in about here.
Ooh.
And if you erased some of this, and if you could imagine the wall, like what you would have to determine is after this wall right here, maybe it turns and goes like this. Because if your vanishing point's there, your vanishing point would still be a teeny bit off, be connecting to about there, would go about there, but it really brings it out quite a bit, and widens the piece. You see that?
Yeah.
You're like, why is Phil giving me so much more work to do? Because the drawing looks freaking awesome. That's why, but I just widening it out like that. You already had all this good information where this ends right here could be a wall that could turn, and then you could still have a prop here in the foreground. And now you have just all this extra movement in the piece for the eye. And I like how it then goes to this end right here. And then you have this, you can have a nice little rolling, or you already have it in there, but the rolling door, and the perspective is pretty accurate. So just getting that in there really opens up the composition quite nicely, Okay, but they're great sketches. It's up to you. I mean, and I'm very fond of that one. I really like the information in it in terms of I have a layer down here that's great. I have something up there. I have something up. So you're bringing me up and down visually. Another thing that's really quite nice about this thumbnail is I like these large crane items. Looks like they're, picking up big bags of heavy sand or concrete or something. They're moving them around. And it's a good depth in there. You have a good separation. You have a good, if you wanted to do this piece, I think my only comment would be is maybe just widen out your frame a little bit more and give us a little bit more on this side,
Yeah.
Because it's everything here is so gorgeous. I want to see, is there a wall here? Is there a stack of boxes over here? And then it just creates a little bit more depth in the piece. But that's also quite, it's a beautiful little sketch. Okay, so excellent job. Okay.
Do you normally do them in 2x6? Because I thought it was really skinny, but now I regret not doing it in 2x6.
Well, here's the thing. As a student learning perspective, we never want to draw on a square. So the offset to a square is going to be about that, which is similar to 11 by 17. That's called an HD format. Okay. So if you guys, and this is for everyone, if you want to know exactly what that is, this is what you can do is you can just open up a window and hold on a minute. Where'd my window go? Give me a minute. Let me show you. Let's try that again. New window. Oh, my computer's working out. I can't see where the window. Oh, that's why it's being hidden. Okay. So here, let me bring this up here. So check this out. If you guys go to Google and type in these words, cartoon color HD format. And hold on, it didn't come up. Click images. Okay, I'm sorry. Type in HD guide. Cartoon Color. So this is what'll come up. Cartoon Color is a store in LA that sells field guides and animation paper and other stuff. So let me bring this down. You can drag and drop it. So this right here, this is when we're working in animation, this is the standard size that we use. And so you see that image in there, that is the image for, if you could trace that and keep it on hand, that is the wide screen HD TV 16:9 ratio. Okay, so we use this image because all of the TVs are now built at this 16:9. So this gives you a rough idea. It's like it's 11:17, very close in terms of relationships right now. What the reason I'm showing you this is we sometimes can do a pan like this. So what that means, if I come back here and grab, hold on a minute, let me grab the work. So if we come back here, what that means is in animation, quite often, we will do a pan in a drawing. And what a pan might be, would be like this. If you can see my green window here on another layer, is that the opening sequence to a story would start and the camera is going to do this. The camera is going to pan along with the environment. So you can do like a really wide drawing because that would be, it's like doing a pan for somebody, okay, which would totally be fine. Okay, so that's one of the benefits of leaving. So this is like a standard HD format, oops, right here. And then if you end up wanting to do something a little bit more panoramic, go for it. There's nothing wrong with going a little bit wider. It might take you a little bit more time, but totally acceptable. Okay. All right. Really good stuff here. These are gorgeous drawings. They're really nicely done. They're beautiful sketches.
Thanks,
Okay?
Phil.
All right, my pleasure. Yeah, you guys are, a lot of you guys in this class are just killing it. When I see this type of work, it gets me interested, like wanting to teach, environment sketching over the summer or something, because you guys are all doing such good work. If you stay with the flow of it and keep moving along, you're going to have really, really great designs coming out, because once you get this perspective down and you know how to apply it, then we go into design. And that's why I wanted to start showing you some of the, I know they don't exist anymore. I heard they're out of business now. Cartoon Color is, but they still have that image up there, which is great. I thought they were doing online orders only because a friend of mine would get his animation paper from there. My friend John Navarez, you just draw. He prefers to draw only on animation paper. Has a nice grit to it. So anyway, yeah, it's too bad. A lot of places closed down, and something happened digitally when everyone switched to digital. Most of the studios were switching over digitally in about, I'd say, like 2000 and probably 2005 to 2007. Everyone was just getting Cintiqs and going that route, and we lost a lot of really cool shops that really supplied great things for us, especially with Photoshop. There used to be another really cool store in Chatsworth that sold graphic marker ink, and they would sell it in big containers, and it was great. You could buy like this huge bottle of graphic marker ink, and and they would last forever, and you could put it on cotton balls and like create these really awesome looking visual development style pieces and markers, but everything went digital. So all that stuff sort of disappeared. Okay, Natalie, let's dive into this so we keep plugging away. I want to make sure I get through everyone on time today. Natalie, I think these look great. The perspective is spot on. What I would, and I can tell what tool are you using to clean these up, Natalie?
I did these in Procreate.
Okay. Since I've had you in character design and I know how you draw, right? These are spot on rulered Procreate drawings, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to pick one that you like and come in here using freehand, like on your iPad, and then just sort of sketch in some really cool like prop collections, like get in here and have something in here in your foreground, have something, maybe back in here in midground, have something back in here, maybe something back in there, and then really start to create some depth inside it. So I'm going to use your example really quick to sort of talk to everybody about this basic principle, which is usually what I do today. And I've already been doing is talking about foreground, midground, and background. Okay. So what your responsibility is going to be as a designer, one way we use perspective to our advantage is we're going to think about everything in this area right here as our foreground. Okay. And then I'm going to come in here and I'll do like an orange, and everything from here, basically here, all the way up to here is going to be our midground. Okay. And then everything else in the back from here, oops, I went to green and it didn't go. Everything back from here to here, all this area in the back is going to be now our background. So you go in there and start organizing props and overlapping them. And that's what's going to make the piece work, by using groupings of props overlapped in foreground, midground, and background is going to be a great way to create depth and atmosphere inside any drawing or design. Okay, cool. So Natalie, these are beautiful. There's nothing wrong with the perspective. They're spot on. All I want you to do is go in there and now start filling it full of like props and big boxes and all kinds of cool stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely feel very like restricted when I'm drawing in perspective. Like, it's hard for me.
And I get it, because what it is, and I know what it is. Because I've seen your drawings and character design. I've seen your wonderful loose sketches, and I know what you can do in your sketchbook. So what's happening in here is you're getting stuck on the ruler tool, which is having to get all those straight lines and everything. And what that does is it makes you feel like this, like you're
Yep.
like you're in Tron land and you're the straight person and you walk around and everything's straight and angled. That's okay. All right. But here's the fun part is sometimes when you get to do a box, a stack of boxes can have a gesture line to it. You can have a box. It could be like this. It could be sitting here. And they can have character to it. So you can have, a large box. You can have a smaller box like this. Then to add some visual weight to it, I'm gonna throw in another box here, but I'm gonna overlap it like this and make this guy a little skinnier, like that. Then as I go up, I'm gonna start to lean my boxes in the position of that gesture line. Like so. And then here, I'll come up here and let me get another little guy in here. And there's also, do you see how that starts to create a little bit of visual weight in there?
Mm-hmm.
The way those are stacked. Okay. That's the great thing about doing a really cool grouping. Then we can do other things to that too. Like right when you think you're about done, I could come in here and I'm just going to throw something at an angle sitting on this. Like this. So you have a box here that's leaning up against this. I'm going to erase this line. Here's part of the power of overlap. Like that. So then, hold on. See how nice that starts to look now? Uh-oh. Come on, go back to my drawing. There. Like that. So then you get that in there. Okay, then if I come and I can overlap that again one more time. I could come in here and I'm going to erase part of this. And then I'm going to throw just another box sitting in front of that. So, oops. There, like that. Okay, so now, and then the last thing I could do is, let's say I even put a floor. I can put a flooring. There could be a little section of tile right there. So I could come back like this and put a little flooring marker, and I can draw around that flooring marker like that. And what that does is that creates a wonderful element, and it has gesture and it has movement. So you can go into your drawings and you can add gesture lines, and you can have things weighted in there. Another thing we do for visual weight sometimes is we'll drape fabric or rope over something. So this is a little bit more advanced, but imagine if I have a rope that's like this, and my rope's going to come here, and then it's going to wrap up, come along this side, come up to here. Okay. Then I'm going to take my erasing tool, go down a little smaller. So I'm going to erase part of that pathway of where my rope's going to be. I'm going to cover this and this. And then if I come back in there and sketch that piece of rope coming in there and coming over and dropping like this. And then if you put your little curves on the little rope, and then where it overlaps here, I'm then going to bring the rope down in front like that. And then heck, it might even wrap around here, come up to this edge, drop down to the ground, and zigzag off a little bit like that. Okay. So that does a lot right there, because now it's basically overlap again, but then the rope is adhering to the form of the boxes, and it makes it look more interesting. And then one other thing we always do, got to put a cloth on there. So then I could come over like here, and I could have, I can erase some of this, and I'm just going to have a cloth, make it look like there's a cloth sort of hanging like that, just sort of hanging over the top of that box. And then that's going to have visual weight because it's going to wrap over it. And who knows, maybe even that cloth might come back in here and might hang off this edge, and I might see it hanging off there. So now all of a sudden it looks really interesting, and it looks very real, and there's a lot of visual weight to it, and it becomes a really, really nice grouping. Okay. So what I want you to do, because I know the way you draw, Natalie, is I want you to draw some props like that, and the way that I did it with the gesture line, and then come in, and after the props are drawn, think about overlapping or wrapping something on them like rope or cloth, then come back and then put another box or two in front of them to create overlap, and you get this really nice feel. So if you go in and do that, and you have a cool grouping here, something there in the back here, it'll really start to come together. And this is where you should ditch the ruler now and have fun with the sketch. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I hope all that made sense. But I just want to encourage you, because I know how you draw gesturally, and I know you can pull that off without even looking at it, you know?
So do you think it's better to, like, when you're starting off drawing an environment, is it better to just kind of freehand it and get the idea out and then fix it with the perspective and everything later?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually, and then something else I do too, sometimes I will draw the room itself in perspective correct, and then everything else I'll draw loose to have energy and weight to it, you know? So, and like you just said as well, that's another approach as well. Sometimes I'll just sketch and I'm really rough, and then I got to go in there and I got to tighten up my perspective to make sure it's working correctly. Because when you're working with storyboard artists and directors and other, you know, art directors that look at it, especially if you're like an illustrator doing children's books, they're going to look at it and know that, like, oh, wow, your drawing's really, really off, and you can't be that off. So you have to really make sure your perspective is spot on and working for them. Okay. So there are different ways to do it. You know, I know some people that do a grid, and the grid's there, and then they just draw rough on the grid, so they have something to look at. Sometimes I draw just the building tight, and then I go back in and rough over it to have some energy and weight and feel to it, you know? So it all is part of that solution to get from the beginning to the end. All right, good work. Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, one more question, Phil. Out of
Yeah.
those ones, which ones should I like? Which ones are which one do you like?
I think I'm liking if this was 1, 2, and number 3, I'm liking 3, because you have a lot of depth in here and you have the stairs in there.
Yeah.
So I like 3 because of that. I also like 4. It's just an issue of now filling it with goodies in there and bringing it to life. That's it.
Right. Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, my pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Good work. Next over here.
That's mine.
Okay, and Mr. Mala. Mr. Mala, how are you, sir?
Good, good. How about you, sir?
I'm good. You're getting better and better. Keep up the good work and effort. Okay.
Thank you.
I really like how you. Here's the other thing about doing thumbnails, guys. This is for everyone in the class. Is it usually your first couple thumbnails are going to suck. not because you suck, but because your brain is getting used to drawing and your brain is recycling the information. And it takes a while for your cognitive transition to like learn this and put it on paper. So Mr. Mala, I'm really liking number 5. I think number 5 came out quite nicely.
Thank you.
What do you think? You like it?
I think, yeah, I kind of like it too.
Yeah, I like it. The perspective's working good. You have good vanishing point structure. You have good collection of boxes. The only comment I would give you on this is as you go into this and start sketching it a little bit rough, remember these beams like right here, you know, you're going to see under that beam. So you're going to see the under part, and then there's going to be the front part of it. So they're going to have a thickness to them. Okay.
Got it.
That thickness will make it feel real and it will work. And I think the other thing I might do on this one is I might just bring out the drawing a little bit closer to the viewer. So adding this frame so we can see where this box ends on the ground. If we see that box ending here, and then we see these boxes, you see how that gives it just a little bit more depth like that?
Yeah.
Because it allows me to see that pathway right in there. Okay?
Okay.
That's
cool.
it.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Very nicely done. All right. Excellent. All right. Next over here, we have Louise. How are you, Louise?
Yep.
And I think these are a great example to that question we just had, Natalie. Look at his really rough sketches here to get the idea out. And then look it up here where he got a lot tighter. And Louise, I'm curious. I'm going to guess on this. I'm going to say you did these first up on the top. And then they started feeling really tight. And you didn't like it because it felt too rulered, and then you ditched it and you went for the loose sketches.
So actually, like they were all my loose sketches,
Uh-huh.
and then I started going over them, and then that's how they turned out at the top. So I'm gonna go back and rework it so it's more like my gesture rather than all ruled out.
So, and here's the benefit of sketching like that is you get this nice looseness, you get a good feel in here. They work quite nice. So I think these are great and they're working fine. And then you come back up to here. And this is what happens when you're on the ruler too much. You have to be on the ruler to get the perspective right. But then what happens is you get this tight feel. And you're like, oh, how do I get rid of that tightness? And that example I just did with Natalie right here on the boxes right here, right? So what I did there by overlapping, putting some rope on it, putting fabric or tilting something at an angle, you could come back to your piece now. And you could easily do that, Louise. You could come in here and you could say like, even on this drawing right here, you know, you could have something leaning against this like that, that'll add to it quite a bit. You could, you know, you could fit stuff back in here. You know, you could, this box doesn't have to be as long. You have a couple different options of things that you can do.
And what's funny is that there was in my original like sketch, there was something back there in that corner.
And you took it out. That's all right. Well, we do that, you know, it's funny. I've been talking to students about this all the time, is that usually artists we're our own worst enemy. We tend to critique our work and be harsh on ourselves more than anybody else is. And then we set up this negative, you know, system where we can never get out and get better. And that's like a really common thing. So these are great. I think they work nice. You have a lot of energy in there. And I'm all about building up. I would probably not do the ellipses over here. I would stray away from ellipses. Another thing you could do if you wanted to, I mean, you can easily expand out your frame just a little bit like this, just a little. And if you did that, what you could do is see where the wall ends about right here, and where that wall ends to there. You could then make your room go this way. See that?
Yeah.
Because then that allows you to come in here and you can have another stack of boxes or two.
Mm-hmm.
That could be used as like a foreground there. So it creates a little bit more depth and then allows us to see where these guys might end in here. And it just creates a little bit more feeling to the room. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
Those could end there. See that end there. And then you could add, there could be like a shelf there. It could be something here. It could be boxes up there. And it just adds a little bit more to the piece. But yeah, I think these are great. And it's just, you know, part of our purpose is nailing down one point, what you're doing. You're learning more about composition and grouping, and you're building up a confidence builder. Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right, good
Phil.
work. Thank you, sir. All right, next over here we have Luigi. Right, Luigi. One of the things I would do is don't put people inside your piece right now.
Okay.
Yeah, just because what happens is that when they get toned like that, our eye goes to them and we stop looking around inside the piece. Now, if you want to do that to figure out the scale, there's nothing wrong with that, but then just take it out. So
Yeah, Phil, I wanna apologize for that. I didn't tell him to add people, but I did tell some people in tutoring sessions that adding a person for size reference would help out.
Okay.
I'll take responsibility for that.
You're busted.
I'm busted. I'm sorry, guys.
We're gonna have you stand on the corner of Chapman and Gilbert, and we're gonna drive by and throw eggs at you.
No. Only if you have feathers following. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? No. So Luigi, they're great drawings. They're beautiful sketches. Everything looks wonderful in them. Are you going for like an Arabic theme marketplace?
Yeah, so I have 3 that are kind of like an interior for like a textile sort of like storage space, and then I have 2 like tents.
Yeah, I'm liking them. I see it. In fact, I got to be honest with you. The one that's catching my eye is this one right here. I'm going to call it number 4 right here. That one's quite wonderful. What I would do though is I would shrink the thumbnail and expand it out a little bit so we can see more in that location. Does that sort of make sense? So it's the same principle of me just doing this and bringing out the frame a little bit more, because now I can see a lot more that's happening in there. But yeah, I think that's quite nice. We definitely want to bring it out, because that way, if we bring it out, we have the chance to have more of foreground over here, then midground, and then that becomes the background back there. Okay. There are, I went to Morocco for 30 days when I was younger, and I backpacked the country. And that reminds me a lot of some of the bazaars and areas in Morocco. In the city of Marrakesh, they have a really famous downtown outside walking area, and they have a bunch of like carpet stores there where you can order carpets and handmade items. So if you're looking for more reference, I think this is quite eye-catching that you have right here. I would just consider adding some other large props up here in the foreground to bounce off your drawing, and then get something here in the midground, and then just sort of get it all put together, you know? Okay, but they're really nice sketches. They have a lot of life and feel to them. And I think what you're doing here is great. And I think it's also a benefit you getting to work with Mr. Jenkins in going over the stuff, because that's what he's there for. I do want you to keep it into interiors and try to avoid the exteriors, like over here. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Very nicely done though. It's beautiful sketching and comps. I mean, you have a natural sketchability that's coming out there that reads very nice.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't know, I had trouble like doing these because I kind of had the same issue where I would try to use like Photoshop to get the straight lines, and then I think once I was able to lay in like the really complicated like columns, I felt like more comfortable just going freehand, and I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, and also, I mean, what you're doing is challenging because you're upping it by going, instead of just a normal warehouse, you're picking an Arabic theme. So now you have to have these little attention to details that place it in that Arabic theme. And those attention to details will be the little curve in the architecture. It'll be the little decorations on the side. It'll be some of the different columns. But then what's really cool where you're balancing this, like I was trying to sort of explain to Natalie, is then you're coming in there and you're sketching like the carpets overhanging, a bag on its side, and that has nice visual weight and a nice feel to it. It feels sketched and makes the drawing sort of come alive. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, my pleasure. Good work. All right, next. Over here. All right, whose are these?
Me, Kelsey.
Okay, hi, Kelsey.
Hello.
So let me show you some things that are working and then some things to adjust. And actually, we could combo a drawing here and it would solve all your problems. Okay, but real quick, because I know you're new to this, one of the things that you're doing that's making a little bit harder for you is you're drawing in almost a square. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And when you draw on a square, it sort of squares off the edges and prevents you from sort of expanding part of the piece a little bit. And it's just the square compositions don't work as nice. Now, let me show you what you could do here. You could take number 4 right here, and we can copy and paste number 4, and I can bring it up and see that matches literally almost on top, about right there. And if I just erase a little bit of that line where that wall edge would be, and actually, let me just go back to your underneath. There, like that. You could blend these two together like that. There we go. See how much more wider the drawing is now?
Yeah.
So that's it. Just get a wider frame, work in that area. I would just take that drawing you did and combine it with that, and it gives you so much better of a breathable composition. And there's a lot more depth in that and everything, and it really starts to work. So I think you probably your first time doing this, right?
Yeah.
You just got locked into the little squares there, and just take that one and merge it with that one, redraw it. In fact, look, I'll zoom into this so you can do a string grab or look at it later in the video. So, I mean, there you have all your perspectives are matching back to that vanishing point. You now have established in there, you have really good foreground here, you have midground back here, and you have background back here. So it becomes quite nice and sets up a lot of depth inside the piece. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. My pleasure. Good work. Nicely done. And for your first time, man, perspective is totally intimidating. It is. It's just the way it is. I'll go look for some of my really bad drawings that I did before I had a chance to like be properly. Here's the thing: is like I had Mr. Graver in 7th grade, and then later I had Marshall, and then later I had that class with John Park, and then it still wasn't until after that when I was sitting down drawing and practicing. It took me a while before I could finally get better at drawing and really applying perspective in a fast way. So it does take some time, to get it out there. All right, whose awesome drawings are these? Catherine.
They're Catherine's. Those are mine.
Okay, hi, Catherine.
Hi, how are you?
Did everything get taken care of, by the way?
I got an email back from him. He says approved. I just have to use the ad code and make sure it works.
Okay, good, excellent. All
Thank
right.
you for your help.
Oh, sure, no worries. I don't know why that prerequisite's there. That was probably a
I
mix
don't know
up.
either. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm like .100 for that. It doesn't make any sense.
And even for like any of the other digital art classes, like that was never a prereq.
I know, and I don't know why. You know what it might be is I'll bet you one time Brian Marie had a student that came in that didn't know anything about Photoshop.
Yeah.
And then he was concerned like, hey, they needed at least know Photoshop,
Mhm.
but the class should be 135, not 100. Anyway, they're all very wonderful. You did go into blue, so but
I
that's okay.
did. Sorry,
know-
I got carried away, and I'm like, oh, I want to put some tone on the back.
I
of
know
it.
the way you're thinking though, because I've had you before and I know what you're capable of. Okay. Did have this idea though. If I take this guy, I
Mhm.
copy and paste him, and if we flip him the other way, and if we bring him back and hook that guy up to part of that drawing,
Ooh.
there, like that. And then if we erase some of this and get your other wall,
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of people's were a lot skinnier and longer than mine were. So I wanted to expand out once I saw everyone else's.
yeah. And look, if we move that back in right about there, let's say, yeah, see how nice and wide
Yeah.
that looks?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just want to erase. Yeah, I love that. Having that table turned at 2 point is a good decision. That's cool. It does a lot to enhance part of it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but look at that,
Nice.
Look at how wider that becomes. I'll zoom into it.
Yeah,
that
much
way
better.
You have it, and it's just adding to what you had. It just opens up this whole other window. So you have lots of really nice sketches here that have a lot of high energy to them, and there's a lot more I want to combine too. You know what I mean? Here, let me
Yeah.
do this one too. This one's really cool. I want to take this guy here, especially this right here. That's what I really want. If we take that guy and move this guy and get it like attached as a foreground down here on this drawing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you widen it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then if we erase a little bit of what's in there, like in there, you know, and you get that
Mhm.
cool foreground with the box. The perspective's a little off, but
Yeah, I did it. I didn't use like a ruler or anything. I just kind of went and
no,
sketched.
not on your end. It's
Oh,
off
okay.
on my end because the drawing I just copied and pasted had a lower horizon line.
Oh,
So
yeah,
this
uh-huh.
has a higher horizon line. So the angles of the boxes would change to like this. That's it.
Sure.
You know, and that's all. They would just change a little bit to match. But it's just having this nice foreground element in here and then the overlap. And
Mhm.
then you have cool foreground here and that. Then we still have this big crater box in the back here. That becomes quite nice. So, I mean, these are really, you combine a couple of these, like the last two I just did, and you could have two outstanding portfolio pieces, you know,
Cool.
absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. These are great. So, so Catherine's already had environment sketching in a couple other classes. She started taking perspective backwards, which is okay. But and also her working in tone, I think that's you as a painter seeing things in groupings, which there's nothing wrong with. So I think that's totally fine. Just blending these items together. Look at that. In fact, let me just merge those all together and bring them down. And then I just want to take this one here, bring it over here. Look, if you had, oh, come on, do it again. Select it, move. If you did those two drawings, those would be awesome in a portfolio, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. That's cool.
Yeah. So I just took what you had. I mean, the answers are there. So excellent work. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. Next over here. Whose were these?
Jamie's.
Oh, Jamie, the troublemaker. Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
So I'm going to ixnay a couple of them, okay?
Okay.
Because you're going into like organic round tubes in there, right? Which are great, but are very, very challenging, especially with the ellipses. Now, I already saw two that I really like. I like number one, and I like number two quite nice. I think they work very, very well. I think they're great. Here, I like this, but man, you're getting into like, you got to get the ellipses nailed down. You have to get them in right position. And then, you know, having these tubes coming to that, you're dealing with like radial casting points. And it's like, that could become a nightmare, you know? So
Yeah.
I would just stay, to me, nailing down that one. That's a great drawing there. It's simple, it's easy, it works, you know? So stay simple, stay easy. Finish that one up. Or that one's also very nice there too. Now, you are getting out of the cone of vision and you are starting to tilt that. Do you see it?
Oh, okay, yeah.
But that's okay. That's your little computer brain going, hey, I know this is getting out of perspective. It's way, way past my happy spot is right there as a cone of vision. So you know, if you were to draw that completely sideways, it would look funny because you would have an obtuse angle that would look like that. Okay. And then here, that's not going to be going like that at all. So I pointing that out to you, that's what you're doing. You're basically introducing secondary vanishing point right there because you've gotten so far out of the cone of vision, which is fine. It's correct, but I want to hold you to just the 1-point perspective draw. Okay. And then even in here, you're doing the same thing, but I'm going to let it go because you have one vanishing point there. And then you were creating another point that is going to be off the page. If we were to follow that, if we were to follow that horizon line, you're creating a second vanishing point way off to the right side of the page, okay? But that's okay, because I know you're a more advanced student and you're searching for a challenging composition, all right? So I'm gonna let number 2 go in the slide. I would just nail down number 2 and finish it, you know, but I'm pointing out to you why you're doing these little angled tilts in here. There's a reason for that, and that's you searching for a more interesting composition. Okay?
Yeah.
Good work. Thank you, Jamie. All right, next. Whose are these?
It's me, Ivan.
Okay, Ivan. They're very nice sketches. They're working well. If I had to pick one that I like the most, I would probably either I'd go number 1 and fill it full of props. Number 2 is also very interesting right here. This one over here, I'll call 4. The boxes are getting too large. So they're like giant trash bins. So look at your door. Your door is setting the height. Somebody being about that tall, then these would be like, oh, they wouldn't be boxes. They'd be like giant crates or something, you know? So I'm going to ixnay number 4. And number 1 has a really nice, interesting room that works quite nicely. I'm also liking, so that was 3, 4, and 5, and number 6 here. I'm also liking number 5 could work if you expanded to the right side of it a little bit, meaning like if you came over here, hold your frame out a teeny bit more, like that. Number 5 could totally work. But I think you nailed it with like number 1 and number 3. Have really good rooms. You can just add some props in there, really create some good depth, and I think you're good to go.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, number 1's awesome. Simple, it's easy, it works. You have a really nice rounded shape here. I like the zigzag in the ceiling. You have a lot of room from foreground to midground to background to really get some good depth in there. So if you just fill that with some of the props like I drew on Natalie's, I think it'll look outstanding. Okay.
Cool.
All right, excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, next over here we have Itzel. All right. These are nice. They're looking good. If I had to pick one that I like the most, do you like number 5 down here?
Yeah, it's because I started understanding like what to do now, because I was just confused the first 2. And
yeah, I can see that. I can see you figured it out. Number
Yeah.
5 was your last one. You know, yeah, your first 2, they get a little stiff and there's lots of horizontals in there, but then you got into number 5. I think number 4, you really started getting some good depth in there. And then number 5 was great and it really came together a whole lot better, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking number 5, you know, quite nice. And another thing you could do, it would be up to you, but you could take this. That could fit in right there like that. You see that?
Yeah.
And then you could have this really wide panoramic view. You know? So, yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Looks great. Very nicely done.
Thank you.
All right, my pleasure. I'll zoom into that in case you want to take a screen grab of it. Or you can just move it that way you can see it. Okay. Good work. Thank you, Itzel.
Thank you.
My pleasure. You guys are killing it, man. You guys are all doing really good stuff. All right. Whose are these?
Mine's.
Hi, Ian.
Hey.
All right, Ian. Let's double check here. So the perspective's working. Some of your drawings are like close-ups of a particular area. So I think if we can widen it a little bit or maybe get a little bit more information on the drawing, you'd be good to go. I did like this idea. Let me see if I can do it up here. Is if we take this guy here. Uh-oh, let me try that again. I went to select it, nothing happened. Uh-oh. Come on, go back to marquee tool. Hold on, I'm having issues here. Marquee M. And it's staying on another tool. Hold on. I'm getting buggy because of the recorder.
Problems?
No, whenever the recorder gets past, we're into about 2 hours of recording. It starts eating up a tremendous amount of RAM, and then it starts making the software not run right. So what I was going to do is I was going to move this over here a little bit more so we can see it a little bit easier and get it up about there. And then what I thought of doing was just adding one of the other pieces to it. So hold on a minute. If I take this nice little grouping you have here, and if I bring this up, I'm going to mirror it.
Okay, I'm looking at it.
I'm going to flip it like this. So I mirrored it, and then I'm going to move it to the side. See how much wider the room would be if you added, in fact, if I put it about right there, just erase this little edge. So you can see that door in there. And then what you could do is you could still keep the wall like receding this way. And then you could have the doors still be like right in here. You see how much wider the room is now?
Yeah.
How much more interesting it is to the viewer. So that's what I mean. Some of your drawings felt like you were up close on like one area of the room. So if we widen them and allow us to see a little bit more, they're going to really start to come together. Same thing with this one down here, Ian. If I take this guy right here, and if I move that one and put him just over here like that, about right there. If I erase this little edge in there, continue that line over in that shelf. See how much more wider that drawing becomes?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. So it pulls you out of getting locked into just one corner of the room by expanding those together, and you get a nice wide angle view that way. I would do either one of those like that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
And then I zoomed into it so you can find the recording, or you can take a screen grab of it right now. If you want, you can alter that.
I'll pick a picture and got it.
Okay, good job, sir. Really nicely done, Ian. Keep up the good work, buddy. Okay.
Thanks.
All right, my pleasure. All right. Uh-oh. Let's come back here. All right, Hannah. Hi, Hannah.
Hello.
All right. I like the Dutch tilt down here, but we don't have to do it right now. It's going to be too complicated. So this is down here. That's a Dutch tilt, everybody. A Dutch tilt is something we use in film and cinematography. When something's going to happen to inside storytelling, we tilt the camera a little bit, and it gives you this weird feel of suspense about to happen. Okay. I wouldn't do that right now. All the Dutch tilt is a 1-point perspective drawing, slightly tilted. And the terminology Dutch tilt actually comes from when we had European settlers that would come over to the United States. They would come out here on a ship, and they'd be sitting on the ship. They'd get off the ship when they'd walk on the dock. They're so used to rocking, they'd have a little bit of a tilt to them when they were walking, and they would call that the Dutch tilt. Okay, so that's great for storytelling. I wouldn't worry about that right now. Let's just construct a really nice giant room. And I really like, these are all working. All the perspective is fine on all of them. Okay, there's no major issues. The only thing I thought of doing was taking this image right here. And if I mirror that, and if I bring it back, imagine expanding out this frame like this. Out to about there.
Okay.
See that? See how much wider it becomes? So if you just expand out the frame a little bit, it'll just, you now have all this extra room in here to get mid-ground, to get some stuff in the background. You can have some girder beams going across there, and I think it'll work quite nicely. Okay?
Okay, got it.
Yeah, these are great though. All the drawings, all the perspective's fine. It's more about now we're just looking for a nice, good composition that rotates the eye through the room and fills it up quite a bit. But you did everything the way you're supposed to do. Your perspective is spot on. Okay. But now we're sort of throwing you into the composition pool and trying to get you to think about that for a minute. All right. Cool.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure. Good work. All right. Next, over here. Whose are these? All right. Anyone? Whose are these right here?
Oh, it's mine.
And who said that? I didn't see your cam light up.
Farisa.
Oh, hi, Farisa. Okay. All right, Farisa. This is a nice little angle here. A couple of them are really nice angles that are working quite well. So this guy would be great right here. Hold on, let me get your layer. This guy would be great. You could widen him out a little bit. One of the problems is you don't have much room to fit boxes and stuff in there. So what you could do is this. If you could imagine widening out the frame, meaning like if I were to just take this chunk right here, and if I were to move this over and bring your wall out to about right there. Hold on a minute. Let me, uh-oh. Where'd my puck just go? I just moved it out of the way by accident. And get it right there. I need that. Okay, and then hold on a minute. down about 4. There. So if you were to widen out your wall about here, and that's going to change the angle of this wall to about there. You see how much more room you now have to fit stuff in? Okay. You have a lot more room to get information in there. So all I did was grab your wall and spread it out so you can get some props in here and here and there and in there. And it's a little bit more expansive, a little bit wider. So I would probably recommend just taking that one, expanding it out, then start filling it full of props and stuff. Number 2 is good here. It's working, but you're getting into these girders and all those cross sections. You got to show the underneath. It gets really complicated. I would simplify. I wouldn't go with anything that complicated. This drawing is working right here too. If you widen it out a little bit like this, and then maybe where the wall ends about right here, you have that wall go that way. You then can add a whole bunch of props in here and in here, and it would really start to fill up the space quite a bit. Okay. So I'd probably point you into that direction. Some of these, like this one, there's a lot of symmetry. It's like right in the middle, pretty much with everything. So I'm going to go back here. I think number 1 widened would be really good, and I think number 3 down here would also work quite nicely. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Any questions? You good?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. All right, next over here. Who's ready?
Hello. Amelia, me.
Amelia.
Sorry about all the different line colors and stuff. It's a little messy.
Don't be sorry about that. What you did is perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do that. That's a great way to work. You can have, I like that. In fact, I think that's awesome having the light grid under there. We could see the perspective working. We have a good idea. These are all very nice. They're beautiful thumbnails in here. If I had to pick a favorite, and let me just put a couple numbers on these. I really like number 1. I think it's quite nice. Number 2 has a lot of potential in it. 3 is also good. 4 is excellent too. Number 5 is a nice wide shot. I think they're all working really nice. It's sort of up to you on which one you want to expand more. Do you have a favorite out of them?
Not really.
Okay. In terms of not overcomplicating anything and sort of having fun with it, what do you guys think? I'm sort of leaning towards filling up number 1 and or maybe coming to number 3 and maybe widening out your frame a little bit like this and adding a little bit more to number 3.
I like 3.
Yeah, I think 3 is quite nice. Thank you, Mr. Mala. Anyone else have any comments in there?
I agree. I like 3 as well.
Yeah, everyone likes 3. I think the crane, the little
3 is
cart
great.
there. Yeah, 3 is really nice. So why don't you go for 3 and just widen out the frame a little bit? Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, really nice work. Excellent.
Thanks.
All right, beautiful sketches. All right, over here now. Who's this guy? Anyone? Bueller. I didn't see a name on it. All right, maybe it got cropped off. All right. Let me see here. Okay, so I don't know whose this is. No one's claiming it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and draw over it and talk about things that are working or not working. Okay, there are some perspective challenges happening in a couple of these. Okay, and number 1 right here, having your basically the wall here is going in one direction and then it's re-angling right there. So that's going to a different set of vanishing points than it should be going to that vanishing point, which is not. So that's something that I would definitely fix. And number 1, remember, everything has to go to that vanishing point. So if you have a VP right here, your lights are going to be coming down this way like this to that vanishing point, your next set of lights. So what's happening here is these are going to their own vanishing point, which wouldn't be happening. Those are going to have to go back to that one. So they would be like this right over here. And they would be cropped about there. Okay. So that needs to be fixed in there to get that working correctly. This box is okay. Just watch this. That's going a little bit of a tilt there. The side of that box is going to be a little bit more like this. Okay. So I'd fix that. If you want number 1 to work. Number 2 is working pretty good, but then I think we're getting confused as you go back to the demo that I did. Did anyone claim this yet? Because I don't have a name on it, so I don't know whose it is. Okay, go back to the demo here and just draw the room in, like get the back of the room, the wall of the room like this. That would be about the width. Then draw from the corners through that vanishing point, basically, to get the whole feeling of the wall. So the wall would be about there. Then that would give us a better feeling. Right now, when I looked at that, I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be the wall or a door. If it's a door, it's way too large. If it's a wall, it's not wide enough, because your boxes here have to be contained, which means you're going to have a wall. It's going to come up here. It's going to go over, drop down behind them like that. And that would be the way to get that wall in there. Number 2 could be a great drawing. I would just bring it out a teeny bit here, get the wall in there fixed, get that new line in there. And I think you could just fill it full of props and you'd be good to go. So number 2 is a really good drawing. So now the problem in here, number 3, is this door is huge back there. So someone, if you brought the height of that person out, they're going to be like that tall right there. They're huge, which makes everything way too. So the problem is the scale. It's just super large. We need to bring it down and make it a lot smaller. So overall, out of these, same thing sort of here. I'm noticing go back to the demo that I did last week. I went over this and did it in the demo. So I talked about building off the wall, drawing the room first, then filling it with props. That's not sort of what's happening here. What's happening here is you're sort of drawing a grid, putting props in there, but you're not thinking about the room and the wall. I gave some pretty good instructions on building this, correctly and building it up. And if you build it up, draw the back wall first, get the wall set in there. Then once the wall is set, you draw from each corner to corner, knowing where the corners are, and then you fill the room with props based off of that. Okay. And stairs, how? We're not even going to go into stairs. Way too complicated. We will talk about stairs a little bit later. Right now, just fill it full of boxes, keep it simple, and stay simple. So I'd probably I think number 2 is working the best. That would be the easiest for you to keep expanding onto. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Next over here, we have, whose are these? Anyone?
He's in chat.
Oh,
yeah, it's Derek.
Oh, Derek. Oh, hi, Derek. Okay. Thank you, Derek. Okay. So, all right. So one thing I want you to do, they're looking pretty good. There's 1 or 2 light perspective problems in there. Some of it might deal with you putting in more complicated information. So in number 1 here, it's working. One of the problems is it's more composition, is it gets very symmetrical because you have a light sort of in the middle there, and then you have a props, and then you have equal size on both, and it just gets a little flattened out because of that. Okay. Number 2 is starting to work. However, though, there are some other things you got to fix. If you have your horizon line and a vanishing point back in here, your horizon line, according to your room, would be about there because you have this. So here's the problem in here, is that you're not going off of one vanishing point. If your horizon line's here, that's converging to that point there, but then this is converging to that point there. So you have 2 different vanishing points. What you want to do is have your horizon line, one golden point. Then when you build your walls, you go like this. Then you build your walls off of that one point, which is going to change the angles of the wall to something more like this. Okay, but we got to get that in there. All the wall corners have to be working off of that. And right now, it's getting a little bit distorted. Okay, so if you do that, then that would work. Okay, the other problem you're having is, remember, that's your horizon line. That's your horizon line. Your ellipse isn't going to be that wide right there. In fact, when the ellipse touches here, we're not even going to be able to see on top of it. So your ellipse, I would leave out the barrels and go to boxes, because we've talked about ellipses basically really quickly. We haven't really gone into them yet. And elliptical formations are a lot more complicated and a lot more a lot harder to do. Okay, so leave out the ellipses, go to boxes. You can keep the same room. It's fine. You could, have the room angled. You can bring the hallways like this, and I would just go to simple box construction and just leave it like this where it makes sense, where we're using boxes instead. Be careful here. This is also, that's going to another vanishing point. It's not going to the original vanishing point, which is in the center there. So this shelf right here would be going like that, and it would be ending about there. And then it would go down, down, and then it would go over like this. Okay, so I would go back, watch part of the first video, or go talk with Mr. Jenkins. He will guide you on how to structure that up and get a little bit your perspective tightened in a little bit more. Okay, and then 1 second, Derek, let me just take a look at this. You have a couple little things somewhat similar. You have a wall that's coming in here, and then it's like this. So that means your horizon line should be about there. So here's a problem. You have one VP in here that's about right there, but then you have another VP on this side for right there. Okay, so that's throwing you a little bit. You want one VP in the room. So if this is your dominant VP right here, that's totally fine. Let that be the main VP, and then build the rest of the room around that. So you might have your back wall that goes into about there, let's say. All right. Sorry, my ruler slipped on that top line. Let me get that right. There. It's gonna, your back wall would be about here. It end about there. Then we come back to that VP. The sides then of the wall would be going in like this to be correct. Okay. So that's what's throwing you off there a little bit, buddy. You got some multiple vanishing points. Same thing's happening here. You got another vanishing point right here. And then you have this going to another point up there. And then this is going to a different point there. So you need to go back and basically do this. You need to structure the room like this. Get your thumbnail. Go back, watch that demo, throw the line in there. That's your horizon line, right? Come in here, get your walls in, pick your vanishing point, and then everything exists off of that vanishing point. The sides of your walls are going to be drawn like that and like that. Okay? So get these elements in there like that. Then go back in and you start building and drawing everything off of that. If not, what's happening is you're getting in here props sort of all over the place and whatnot. And Mr. Jenkins can help guide you with this. Okay. Here, your perspective's a little better, but again, you're getting into these like complicated structures here with cross beams, and you got barrels and ellipses. I would stick away from ellipses, barrels, and complicated, to stick with simple boxes, build them up the way I was doing it, and build a room off of this. Okay. Definitely go talk to Mr. Jenkins. He will help guide you, and that will be able to get you through everything. Okay. All right. Thank you, Derek. All right. And even if you want to meet with me during office hours, that's fine. All right. Daniel, how are you? Got some beautiful drawings here. These are excellent, sir. They look great. Question is which one are we going to do? And I already see something I want to do. I'm tempted to come in here and take that. Oops. Okay, come on. Keep telling it to go to marquee. There it goes. Tempted to take this, bring it up here, and flip it. And fit it on about right there. You see how cool that is? Look at that. What do you think? Daniel, you still with us? He was here earlier. He might have just checked out for a minute.
Yeah, hello.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Dan.
Oh, okay.
How you doing, buddy?
Good.
That's a beautiful drawing there.
Thank you.
See how I took your end and I just flipped it over? Did you catch that part?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know I was muted. I was talking, but I didn't know I was muted.
That's so funny. I know that happens sometimes. People sit there and they talk and they're like, I'm like, I can't hear you, you know. No, good time. No, I just expanded that on there, dude, just to widen it because it fits so perfectly. The little alcove, and it meets right up in here, and it makes the room wider. You know, it's quite nice. So these are all, they're beautiful thumbnails. And just a side note, you should have all of these just in a portfolio to show people your ability to do thumbnails like this, you know?
Okay.
Because this is huge. I mean, you could be working on a production and you could just fly through doing thumbnails, and directors would approve these and hand them out. And then you would just have to blow them up and add a little bit more detail and you'd be done, you know? So you would really expedite a production workflow on a studio by, because you know what happens all the time is you'll be working at a studio, you'll have like your production coordinator come up to you and go, yeah, we got a board artist coming in to pick up, you know, all the information to do a sequence. So we need environment drawings. He'll be here in 3 hours at noon. Can you do 5 thumbnails for us? You're like, sure. And you just comp them out. So, I mean, these are gorgeous, man.
Can I see something real quick? I have something that I think might be cool.
Sure.
On the 5th one, so the bottom left, is there a way for you to make the area on the right sort of like a window peering into what you have in number 1?
So what?
You could.
So wait, let's make sure we're numbered right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now which one?
So you see how number 5 has the computer desk, like a control panel, and it's like right to the right, you have the fence looking into the storage area. What if we made the fence a window and we were looking into number 1? Like an officer's office looking into the production factory.
You could. Yeah, you could totally put that on the left of the, just take that and move it over.
Yeah. There's lots of things you could do. You could merge a whole bunch of these together and around, because there's so much good, solid perspective happening. And some of your horizon lines are very similar in their placements. So you could get away with murder on some of these, you know? I mean, even, God, I was even tempted, like down here, you could add something to the side of that one, you know, you could widen it out a little bit. You could probably, hold on, let me try this. You could probably get away with even taking this whole chunk right here. Just adding it on like there, you know what I mean? You could widen out that whole thing. So you have lots of options. They're beautifully done, very nicely drawn. Look at that. I mean, now you got this whole wide room with everything in there, you know, and I do sort of like this. Hold on a minute. Let me try this. Now I'm getting some ideas here, right? What if we had, let me see if I can pull this off. What if we kept, here, I'm going to merge it together. Uh-oh, cancel. Hold on, I'm missing something. Oh, that's why. I'm going to merge that down to there. And I want to go with Mr. Jenkins' idea really quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I could take out part of this section here. And I'm going to fill it with that color.
I'm sorry, Daniel. I may have just made your life extremely difficult.
No, it's cool. I don't mind.
And then I'm just wondering if we could squeeze, I like that factory idea. Like, then if we could take part of this drawing in here.
Yeah, I was just thinking about there was this shot I really liked in the last Star Wars film where Kylo Ren is overseeing the production of, like, not Kylo Ren actually. Not even the last Star Wars movie. I think it was The Last Jedi. Kylo Ren is like standing in his office and he's looking out into like a hangar bay. And I thought that was a really cool shot. And your thumbs kind of like give me that vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you're onto something.
You like that?
That's pretty cool.
There you go, dude.
Just combine like 3 of them together. Here, I'm gonna take a screenshot. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, let me get it larger so you can see. Dude, that's awesome right there. And I'll tell you what got me about that. What I was seeing was this is a really clever idea. Hold on, let me merge them all together now. So we don't lose. This is a clever idea because this stays in the foreground and it's like a working area, right? And then I really like the way this turned and brought us this way, but combining it with these boxes worked well, and that creates a nice foreground. So then I just scaled down your first thumbnail and fit it in there. So it looks like, and that was from Mr. Jenkins, it looks like people are up here working, and then you have this whole entire floor back in here of, you know, right?
Yeah.
That's, you know.
Oh, that's
and then,
cool.
Yeah, and then you just bring a couple of these lines back out this way, get the boxes, and then where this ends here, heck, I would just get this shape back in here and that about there. Let's say like that, and dude, you're done. You know,
I'm a genius. I told you guys I can help
look
out.
at that. That's beautiful, dude. That is like,
That's cool.
that's industry level kick butt work. That's really, really high. So I would combine your three like we did. I don't even know how I got there. It just happened. Thanks to Mr. Jenkins. But I would just take that and just run with it, dude. That looks awesome to me.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that is pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Danielle. Beautiful work, dude. Keep it up. It's great,
Thank you.
great work. All
Thank
right.
you.
And then everyone else in the class is like, really? Yeah, because it's such complicated, good design work. And okay, Daniel has had other classes and he's at a little bit higher level. So some of you guys are probably like, man, that was really good. Well, he's been drawing a lot longer. So, you know, yeah. So nothing's wrong with that. We all get better at different times and places. So excellent. All right, whose are these? These are very nice.
It's Danny.
Oh, hi, Danny. How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
I'm good. Danny, you're killing it. You know that? You're killing it last semester. You're killing it this semester already, too.
Thank you. I felt bad because I think I went slightly too sci-fi. I'm not sure.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's totally fine. I think.
Did you just see Daniels? You're good. Don't worry about
Okay.
it.
Yeah, yours. These are great.
Come on, Daniel had so much detail in there. It's not even, you know. Yeah, these are wonderful. You could take. I like number one. Number
these
one.
are great.
I might just fill with a couple more groupings in there somehow. You know what I mean? Like if you did number one, I might have like something here or something centered here. Maybe there's something in the back there or something here and overlap to create a little bit of depth. Number three is great. It is working quite well. I did think of merging something though. You want to try it real quick?
Sure.
I was wondering, we could probably get away with this if you literally took that chunk and then we moved it over and got it in about there, let's say. And then if you erase this little line right there.
Oh, nice.
Erase some of that. See how wide that becomes?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Just this really nice wide angle shot of a room, and that's just taken. I just took the other half and put it in there. I think that's pretty cool.
I feel like from your classes, I should just always combine my thumbnails now.
No, it's just something that it's just something cool to do. You know, it's just something that I picked up on because I used to do that to my stuff. I'd come back with a fresh eye and be like, oh, I can move this over here, and it would, you know, and it works, and I add a lot more distance. And look, your perspective is literally spot on by moving that over there. The only thing I think you have to fix is this little corner right here. That's it. You know, but even that still works. Makes sense.
Okay, sweet. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. And I really like the stairs. The stairs in there were quite awesome. Bringing
Thank you.
somebody down this way into the piece, you know? Okay. However, though, prospectively, double check the height relationship of those stairs to these stairs.
Okay.
These appear to be landing closer to us versus these should be landing further away about there. If you did that, that would be fine. So what you could do to fix that would be to bring out your the base of your frame just a little bit. And then if we see where these stairs land and we see them ending here, then we would know that it would make sense that these stairs are ending here in front of us. And then these are ending about 20 feet back away. So the scale relationship would be correct. Okay.
Awesome. Let me take a screenshot real fast.
Absolutely. Here, I'll zoom in right there so you can get everything. There. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Phil. I really appreciate it.
All right. My pleasure. Good work. Keep up and these are just, in general, they're great thumbnails to have because they really show your ability to explore and come up with solutions. And you didn't go over detail at all. So these are actually having a page of I was just talking to a student about this. Having a page of thumbnails like this in a portfolio is worth its weight in gold. It shows your ability to sketch out and deliver information quickly. Okay, so
Okay,
they're
awesome.
very nicely done. Thank you, Dan.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil.
Sure. All right, next over here we have, all right, Casey's. Hi, Casey.
Hello.
You have that pretty, is that the lavender or the purple?
It is the lavender pencils that you recommended us last time.
Yeah,
I don't know where I
those
put
fun?
it, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they draw so nice. All right, don't pick this, Phil, on number 5. Keep gravitating towards that one.
No, don't. I
Why
was
don't you like that
tired.
one?
Because that's like where I was running out of ideas and I was hungry. I even wrote I'm hungry
Yeah, I
where
wrote
the
that
horizon
on there.
line was. It was 8 p.m. So
Yeah.
it's not, no.
So number 4 is good. It's just that it's more of a horizontal shot. So I want something with some more depth in it. And I'm probably, because of that, looking at, I think number 1 is still great. You could fill it with some more props where you have some open areas in here, you know? You have plenty of room to put stuff in here, something back in here, and even something back there. You know, and add a lot of depth to it. So number 1 is very nice. Number 2 is good, but then all these props sort of flatten out the back wall right there. You know, so I'm leaning probably towards number 1, or possibly number 3 is really cool if you were to widen it a teeny bit. Let me see. Check this out. We took.
Oh no.
Uh-oh,
Here it comes.
we took that chunk. If we took that chunk from number 1 and just sort of fixed it on back here a little bit. Let me erase it for a minute. I'm trying to figure out if we could widen this one. Oops, I'm gonna go blue. If we widen it a little bit like this, and then you kept these like pillars in here sort of in the foreground, you know? Like that, and then you kept this cool collection of boxes in there. I think that could work. And it gets wide and has a lot of room, and you still have tons of room to like put something here. You can put something overlapping here. You can have a couple guys, something overlapping back there. There's a lot more depth in that, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of hesitating towards putting overlapping because I was working all traditionally. So there's like a lot of lines. And I was like, okay, time for the next thumbnail. But
And
I will
then-
be taking this into Photoshop.
Yeah, and then the other thing I'd recommend too is up here, like don't worry about these girders up here. They get too, I know that's what's in there, but sometimes they get too detailed. Just leave it, you could leave it like this, and then they could just be like a wall, just wall trim like that. You know what I mean? I would take out the girders so just like it's some type of detail. Or I really like what you put up here already. Just make this window. Factories have tons of windows. Just make these windows a little bit larger like this. And I think that would work quite nicely. You know? Yeah. And then it would really opens it up quite a bit. Watch your ladder a little bit right here. It might be teeny bit thinner. Going up there. That's all. Okay. But it's very nice. They're really nicely drawn. They work very well. And I still like number 5. It's just a nice low angle shot. Your horizon line's low. And all you got to do is come in here and you could add some more props and elements, put some stuff here, put stuff up here. You could even, if you wanted to, with this wall ends here, you could take that wall and make it curve this way, widen your frame out a little bit like this. There, and then where it curves and goes back this way, you can now bring your foreground props over here more. And then you got a little bit more area to put some more stuff in here and in here by widening it a little bit. Okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, good work, Casey. Thank you. All right, next. Casey, the next over here. All righty. Whose are these?
Those are mine, Carrie.
Okay, hi, Carrie. Okay, let me see here. Let me take a look at all of them. you have some really fun ideas here. I like what you're doing. Let me label them really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I would probably avoid 4 because of the complexity of figuring out stairs right now. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that too. I just found a cool picture on
Yeah.
Pinterest and I tried to like take some of the elements. It didn't work out well.
Yeah, but it is cool. It's nicely done. It's just those stairs are going to be really complex and make your life a little bit miserable. What I was wondering, and then there are, I like number 2, but I want to expand to the right of it a little bit to open it up. So I did have a couple ideas on how to do that. You could literally take this and just move it over. You could like get that to fit in there, probably about like here, let's say. And it would just widen out the frame quite a bit, you know? It would allow you to, but we'd have to fix the wall a little bit in there. So maybe it's better to do this. You can keep this one. There's a couple little, let me show you. See that line? It's not going to the vanishing point. You can keep that in there.
Okay.
You just got to straighten it up. You have to keep this back wall in here like this, right? But then you got to make sure the vanishing point is correctly going through, the lines are going through and receding back to that little point right there. And then what I would do is I'd also widen out the frame a little bit so we can see a little bit more on the other side. You widen your frame out like that, then you draw through these little corners. So if your back wall is here, here, and over and down, then just come in here, and then your side wall would be about there. You know, and what you could do too is you could leave it like that. The problem is that this wall gets it's a little stretched in there like that, but it gives you all this other room in here now to fill up stuff in there, you know, and that would balance itself out. Also, be careful on your boxes. Some of these guys are leaning a little bit. You see them? Go back and keep those with a straight vertical carry. Keep them straight up, and then just they're going to go horizontal like this and be like this. And then they're going to recede back to the vanishing point like that. That's all. Right?
Yeah, I definitely want to go back in and do a lot of refinement on these because I don't really have a lot of experience in industrial drawing, so I've been practicing like a lot of the little.
No, that's okay. You're really close. It's just nailing down or expanding a little bit of the frame. And also down here, number 5 is very nice. It's a great idea with the big windows in there. What I would do on number 5 is just when this comes down to end about right there, or that line that goes, I would then just widen out your frame so we can see more of the other side of it. So if I widen out like that, come back, your vanishing point, though, I'd raise a teeny bit more. Has to be a little bit higher than where the wall ends. But then if you did this, see, you add on all that other distance on the other side right there. And then now you have tons of room to have stuff in here. And here you can have something, you can have another window set up here. You can have things back here. You can have some other items in there. And you just have a lot more room to fill the composition. So I would take number 2 or 5, widen it up a little bit. I think that'll guide you through.
Okay, thank you.
All right, my pleasure. Good work. All right, excellent. All right, next over here. Camille. These are great. They work really nice. The perspectives right on them. I just thought maybe, Camille, of maybe adding or expanding out on one of them. Like I like there's a couple. Well, number 1's great. It's a nice wide room. It's interesting ceiling. We can see a lot in there. I think it's working well. You could easily widen out part of number 5 too. So let me just show you really quickly. If I were to grab like this, like chunk right here and copy and paste that. And if I brought that right down here and sort of overlapped where part of your vanishing point was, and then if I erase some of this, you got to bring it down a little bit more actually. Hold on. There. So if you could imagine, let me swap your color you're using too. Okay, so if you brought your frame out a little bit and you get rid of that line that's in there. Then if you end this, bring the wall in like that, connect that from there to there. Maybe the wall just goes up and your window goes like that. And your windows has an angle and the factory is a little different. So if you do that, we widen it out quite a bit where now you have room in here to have something. You have some more room to bring stuff out in here. You can overlap something over there. And then you can bring your doors and end them sort of like in that corner. Maybe move the center over a little bit. It just widens out the frame and gives you a little bit more workability in there. Or number 3 is also great. Just, you know, I'd fill it, you know, have a box up in here, maybe a box coming out of there and there. And then maybe there's a bunch of stuff here ready to be shipped. Just a little bit of overlap in there too would also make it work. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm trying to figure out what would go in that large space.
Number 3, imagine if this was a shipping door, a roll-up door.
Yeah.
And they're collecting all these boxes, grouping them together, and they, you know, they wrap them with like saran wrap, and they're on a pallet. They're getting ready to move them onto that pallet. Does that make sense? So here they're all coming out, and then they're loading, and then you have these pallets here, of like different box heights, and some of them might be smaller, and then they're gonna take them through this large door and load them in the back of like a semi or whatever, you know.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I would just do that. You don't. There's not much to add because this is really nice. That little curve in there. I like how this ceiling drops in here. Then you could come back in and you can add off your vanishing point. You could add, you know, a couple like little fluorescent lights hanging here from the ceiling. Could be hanging up there. You could divide up. Oops, some space in there too, and make it more like a ceiling. And then once you get those props in there, I think it would really come together. Okay.
All right.
All right,
Cool.
good work, Camille. You look nice.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Brandy.
Hello.
Hi there. All right. If I had a favorite,
I like 2.
Yeah, I was going right to 2 as well. I was just going to label them though real quick. 1, number 2, number 3. I really liked. There's a couple things going on there. I like number 2. I like number 3. You could even merge 2 and 3 together and probably get them to work a little bit. Like right after that pillar, you could literally take part of 3 right here. Let me see where that vanishing point is. If you could take that chunk right there and you can move some of that over and imagine like after that pillar right here. If you saw behind the pillar, you see the other side of the factory. Does that sort of make sense?
Oh yeah.
Like you have the pillar come down and end, and then it would converge. We'd see the top of the pillar a little bit like this, right? And then you would see this whole other side to the composition behind the pillar. Like a whole other working side there. I would do that. I think that looks awesome right there. Okay. But there are also other good things in some of the other drawings too that are quite nice. Another merge or possible blend you could do is you could probably come over here and take this guy. And you could get him, here's your vanishing point about there, but the drawing's a little larger. We could probably distort it and blend him in about there. Blend in part of the back like that. Those props there like that. See how much wider that feels too?
Mm-hmm.
So you could blend those 2 together. So you got a couple options here. In fact, let me just move them. Let me merge them all downward together. And I'm going to take that guy and move him over. Look at that. You have 2 really nice wide angle views now, right in there. Oops. Let me get it. Sorry. So you can take a screen grab of it if you want. What do you think? Really nice wide angle views, lots of information. I think they look great. Okay, cool.
Cool.
All right, good job, Randy. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. We got to get you that mic, right? You never got your mic, did you?
No.
They're like 20 bucks on Amazon. You can get a pretty good mic. Pretty inexpensive. All right. Anthony Delgado.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Anthony?
Hanging in there.
All right. Number one, perspective's working. Everything's fine. I like what you're doing in number two. Feels good. These are all great. You have lots of depth, good room, good perspective in there. I can see you really drawing through the shape, figuring out how things are overlapping. These are fantastic.
Thank you. I just feel like I spent too much time drawing the boxes and not putting enough effort into, making it look like a warehouse.
Well, you could do that now. That'll go from the thumbnail. Now that you got the perspective down, everything will be a whole lot easier. Because now that the perspective's locked in, you can just draw in there. Like I was doing on Natalie's, where I was drawing the boxes with a little bit of a gesture line. Now you can go into that and add some of that detail in there. In terms of composition, I'm going to go with number two. And the reason why I like number two is you have a nice offset where it's, you have it offset here, and then we have all this extra room to see space. It balances quite well. You already have a nice, good amount of background. You have some midground. You can get some really cool foreground in there. So I'm liking number two quite a bit. I think it's excellent.
Okay, so go with two then.
Yeah, go with two. Just blow it up, and we're going to start to add in some more details, some more information, and you'll be good. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and real quick, that's all that I have, but let me go back. I want to try to get Anna. Anna, were you able to change yours?
Yes, I think I uploaded it.
Okay, oh, excellent. There it is. I see a PNG. So let me download your folder real quick, Anna, and then I'll give you a look at real fast. Yeah, PNGs are great. They're simple and they work pretty well. There it is. All right, let me pull that up.
So I did them on like small thumbnails. So hopefully they're not small, like too small.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay.
I can zoom into those, no worries. Yeah, those are really nice. Really good, good sketches here. Yeah, those are great. They're nice and they're loose, they're rough, but they're fun. You could take one of these and add on and stretch. So one of the things I'm going to comment, let me show you. It's nothing's bad here, but you see how there's a lot of symmetry in them.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say.
So now it's the drawings are fine, but this one is a lot more visually appealing to the audience because your symmetry is offset, right? So that one becomes really interesting, but something that you could do is sometimes in perspective, sometimes we can get away with doing this, is you could take like this chunk right here and if I were to copy and paste that, and I can move it over to like the side of another drawing, and so you can widen out your frame right there like that.
Okay.
So if I put that one there and we zoom back in there, now you basically have what you had before, and then if you erase this overlap right here where it's overlapping those boxes, now you have this really nice wide angled view of your warehouse. Do you see that? So I think by doing that, and look, it's just a light adjustment. If your vanishing point's there, that comes down just a little bit, and then this just might changes just a little bit right there. That's it. And then you just take your boxes, you end them here, and that's quite nice. They're really, really beautiful, high energy sketches, but you are right. I'm just going to find a better place to offset where that vanishing point is, so then it creates a little bit more compositional balance to it,
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Excellent, Anna. Nicely done.
Thank you.
All right. So that's it. That's everyone. We're right about our window where I'm going to take roll, and then I have to stop. And so this lecture is really long today, this crit. It's going to take me, I won't be able to get it up till way later today because I can't even render it right now. Once it renders for me to upload it, it's going to take at least an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, because it's literally about 3 hours of straight recording. So let me just go through roll really quick, and then I'm going to let you guys go. So the homework, what I'd like you to do is to pick one of your thumbnails that you like, blow it up a little bit larger, okay? And inside the Google Drive, I'm going to put another folder, and it's going to have Wednesday's date on it, okay? So we're going to be looking at a rough drawing. So the folder is going to be called rough drawing 1 point. Uh-oh, I had cap locks on. Let me redo that. Rough drawing 1 point. And then Wednesday's date is going to be the 10th. Wednesday, the 10th. Okay, there. So you can drop your work in there, only one. Pick one of your thumbnails, just blow it up by about 50 to maybe, 50 to 60, 70%, and then just tighten it up a little bit, add some of the things we talked about, and then we'll take a look at your rough drawing. So only one image, that's it. And it's up there for you to submit it really quick. Let me just go in. I need to take roll for the class. Super quick. And please give me a shout out. Some of you already know are here, but then we had a couple images that people didn't reply to, so they might be absent. So I got Jamie, Ivan, or is Ivan here? Or Ayana?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Ivan. Leonie was here. Emma, you're with us? Evan? Emma? Are you there? Yeah. Is that you? I couldn't hear anything. Emma, give me a shout out if you're here. Okay, no Emma. All right. Oh, there you are. Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Okay, Jennifer was here. I got Robert. Elizabeth. Okay, got Evelyn was here. Daniel's here. Arlene Cortez, are you with us? Arlene Cortez. Going once, going twice. Okay, no Arlene. I got Casey. Anthony, I got. Louise was here. I saw Camille's work. Emery's. Are you here, Emery's?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then I got Brianna. And then Mr. Flag, you with us?
Here.
Okay. Itzel, I got. Viviana, I got. What about Victor?
Yeah, here.
Okay, excellent. Kelsey
Here.
Gomez was here. And then Elon was here. Serena was here. Leah's here. Catherine's here. Haman Kang. Is Haman here?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, thank you. And then Brandon Kong was here. Brandy Kim was here. I got Hannah. I got Ryan. I got Farisa. I got Mr. Mala. Luigi was here. Christina Marquez was here. Lucas Wynn.
Here.
Thank you. And Craig was here. Brenda with us
Here.
today. Thank you, Brenda. Sammy, Emila was here. Taylor, Sevilla. Is Taylor here today? Taylor? Nope. Okay, I got Ebony. You're here, right? Ebony? Give me a shout out, Ebony, if you're here. Because I'm not seeing you and I didn't see work. So I'm thinking you're absent today. All right.
They were here earlier.
They were? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they need to be here now. They need to be here through the class. That's the problem.
That's true.
So, and we talked about that from the beginning. So I'm going to mark Ebony here. I did see her earlier, but okay, Derek was here, Natalie was here, Ciro was here, Ian Velasquez is here, Joel, I got, and then Hui was here, Danny was here, and Carrie. Okay, look, there are probably 5 or 6 of you that did not turn in any work to me today. So you're gonna, you have the chance to meet with me in my office hours if you make an appointment, or you can meet with Mr. Jenkins and he will guide you. Mr. Jenkins has a lot more availability than I do. You will start to fall behind if you don't turn in the work. And I want to give that warning now because we do move a little faster. Wednesday, we're going to be looking at rough drawings. And then after that, I'm going to critique those. And then our goal is to try to do a cleanup. But then I'm going to move on to new topics, and then we're going to start going into 2-point perspective. So we have a lot of topics and information to cover, you will fall drastically behind if you don't do the work. So some of you that didn't do the work, you need to stay on top of it. You need to balance your time better. You need to get it done, because once you fall behind, one thing I'm not letting happen in my classes anymore is I have students that don't turn in work and they glide by hoping to like get a C at the end or something. And I'm not going to do that. Remember, you have those participation points. You need to participate, do the work, and submit it in. If you don't do it, I'm going to start to send out email notices as like warnings telling you, you're risking the chance of being dropped from the class. You're not doing work. I can't let people just ride in a class anymore and not do work. I've done that a couple times and it always comes back to bite me. And then what happens, I get a complaint from the parents or whoever, why did my student fail? And then I'm just like, well, you're not turning in their work and I need to nip it up in the butt, up ahead in the front. Okay, for the most part, 90% of all of you guys killed it today. You did great work. You had good drawings. You put a lot of time and effort into your stuff. Those of you guys that are doing that, pat yourself on the back, maintain the good workflow and the good effort. It looks fantastic. Okay. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to take off because I have another class coming up in just 15 minutes.
Phil, just a moment.
Yeah. What's up?
If you have time, the tutoring people sent you an email to help you get me on the Canvas, and that will help me be able to reach the rest of the class for their emails.
Yeah, I need to do that. I'll try to do it. I don't know if I can get it done today or tomorrow. I did see that, but I'm sorry. I was just overwhelmed this weekend with
No problem. I let them know that you're super busy. So
yeah, no, the first 2 weeks of school are the hardest for us to like get a flow. And now I'm trying to get scheduling done. And I had some other problems I'm resolving with the dean regarding financing and stuff. So anyway, let me just, they did send me something on Canvas a little bit later today. I could probably get back on a Canvas and try to follow the steps to add you on the Canvas. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And for the rest of the class tutoring session today from 3 to 4, I'll be dropping a link in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, email me at ajenkins@fullcall.edu and ask for a Zoom link, and I can help you guys out today.
Dude, 3 to 4, you get 1 hour of free tutoring and help. Take advantage of it. Okay. All right, guys, be safe. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Okay. Please remember
Thanks, Phil. See you Wednesday.
Thank you, Phil.
Bye.
Later,
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Later, guys.